Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wide Open Adventures. It's been a while since we've done one of these shows on this channel. We've got Logan here with us tonight. He helps do this channel a lot for Hunter, so it means a lot to him. This channel that we do this channel. He pushes me to do this channel a whole lot, don't you?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about a lot of things tonight about camping, guys, safe places to camp and everything. We've got Jesse here, and then we have a special guest, Tcarp. We're going to be bringing on here in just a second, guys. Can you hear us okay, Jesse?
I can, yes.
Okay. Want to make sure we can hear us, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Got Logan here tonight. He's supporting his we call him his brother. We called him his brother.
How you doing, Logan?
Good. How are you?
Good.
All right. Well, I really don't have anything to start the show off with other than we're going to go ahead and get Travis in here, and we will kick off the show, and we'll start talking about, camping and some safe places and how to determine a safe place and everything, and no telling where else we'll go. So here's Travis.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey, how are you?
Doing good. We've got Mr. Bo hanging out with us today. What's up, buddy? What's up, buddy? Yes. He has been super clean the past couple days. My kids are out of town, and next time Nana and Papa take the kids, they are going to take the dog because he doesn't. He misses his kid. He misses the girls.
Yeah.
So, Logan, how are you, buddy? It's nice to see you and meet you, man.
I'm good. It's nice to meet you too. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, man.
No problem.
All right. So we are getting into finding a safe place to camp is one of the biggest things that one of the things that your dad wanted to talk about. I wanted to tell people I get a lot of my bushcraft, my camping information. Uh, Dave Canterbury is one of my favorites, and he got a lot of his stuff from old school campers, Morse Kahansky, Kephart. Those are some old names in the camping and bushcraft community, and he got a lot of that stuff from them. But this guy wrote a book called Bushcraft 101 or Advanced. We're going to find a lot of stuff out of the Advanced Bushcraft book tonight.
Okay.
So let's go and let's look at the chat. And I'm a big book person, if y'all didn't know. I can barely read, but I'm a No Child Left Behind kid, so I can barely read. But my wife's sitting here cracking up for the background. What'd you say? What she said? Because it's true. She says because it's true. I can barely read, but I really do try. I really do like books. So we're gonna go to chapter 5, okay, in this book, and we're gonna talk about sheltering. So, have you guys ever heard of the 4 W's of shelter building?
I don't think I have, no.
Mike, what about you? Have you ever heard of the 4 W's of shelter building?
I don't think so.
Okay, so the 4 W's of shelter building are wind, water, wood, and widowmakers. So when you're finding a camp, we'll talk about the first one. When you're looking for a camp, you really want to remember these 4 things. The first one is wind. You want to know the direction of the wind and will it have an impact on your ability to safely keep a fire going, to heat your shelter, to look for middle high ground areas where the wind is present but not too strong. So a lot of folks will, when they're looking for like a campsite, they won't take this into effect. They'll do on like on top of a hill or whatnot, and they won't think about it. And then they'll get in their like little shelter, or they'll get in um their hammock, or they'll get in their tent, and they'll have just a ton of wind going through, and they can't keep a fire going, or they get way too cold because that wind keeps just a going. Have you ever noticed that, Mike, before? It's like, hey, I picked a spot and it's like, boom, there's just so much wind, I can't make it happen.
Oh yeah, or the wind is too high; it just goes through your wood. You end up burning up all your wood trying to keep a fire. It just burns it so fast.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
I've been watching a few camping videos myself where, yeah, one of the things that end up happening is they get all their stuff set up and their tent set up, and within that night comes through, and because of where they set up, they're just in a high wind zone and tent is gone.
Exactly. A lot of these shows, these survival shows like Naked and Afraid, or because I'm actually a huge fan of that stuff because it shows you a lot of what not to do, because these people will make major mistakes, and it's like, well, if they did this, if they did this, if they did this,
Mhm.
and a lot of them just do not take wind into account. It's a major deal because that wind can also suck your body heat just tremendously out of it.
Yep.
And what we're trying to do, and I get really technical. I geek out about this stuff. So Mike, just kind of like when you said do this, I'm like, yay, I get to just talk for an hour. Um, I people get they we're trying to create what's known as a microclimate with a shelter. That's what we're trying to do. Like today, I don't know about you guys, it's hot outside. It is insanely hot. So
Mhm.
in a shelter today, we are trying to create a microclimate where we're taking that temperature down. Well, and sometimes in the winter, you want to make a microclimate to keep that temperature up because you don't want to get too hot and too cold and whatnot like there. But the wind is the number one on here because it's forgotten all the time. So the wind direction. The next, did we have a question on that or just a comment?
It was just a comment.
Okay. Um, the next one we want to look for is water. So that's the second of the four W's. You want to look for a water source that's nearby, such as a creek bed that can provide a steady source of water. So you may see a great camping spot, you think, awesome. Well, where are you going to get your fresh water? A person needs to be drinking 32 to 64 ounces of water per day. One of the biggest issues that happens when we camp is most of the time people walk out in the woods and they're already dehydrated. And when I
Mhm.
say that, that's me. I don't drink enough fluids at all. So finding a campsite, like being prehydrated when you go into camping, and then finding a campsite that will keep you hydrated is something that you definitely need to think about. Uh, so just that, and you need to have a way to filter water and whatnot. Definitely boil filter water if you can. Mike, what do you use to filter water?
We've got pretty used to using the life straw.
Those are good. Those
We use
are do you have the bottles or do you actually have the sucky straws?
a little sucky straw, and then we have another thing that it goes on, looks like an IV, and you put your bag up above, it goes through it, and then it clears the water. Then you can flip up like this little IV deal, and you can get your fresh water from it.
That's not a bad. Have the Sawyer squeeze is what a lot of the through hikers use. And then have you ever heard of a Grail before?
Uh,
So, Jess, have you ever heard of a Grail before?
No, I have not.
Give me 30 seconds. I will be right back.
all
So,
right. He does camping survival.
So a grail. Sorry. Here it is. So a grail. This is called a grail, and this has to be, in my opinion, one of like the best water filtration devices like they make. It's about $100, depending on where you can buy it. How it works is, oh, sorry, hold on here. Give me 30 seconds. All right. So you have your cup, okay? So you have your Grail cup and you just dip that into water. And then you have this, which is the filtration device. You basically take this filter and you press it, and it's just like a geopress. And then you have your water is filtered up in through here, and then it goes in, and basically once you've got it filtered out, you basically have your, just basically have your regular water bottle and you drink out of the top. It's filters water in 20 seconds and you're ready to rock and roll. So
Mm.
the Grail is one of my favorite devices. It's very very good. I've used this in Panama. I've used this up in Ohio. I have used this in East Tennessee with some water that will make you glow. It works. It's good stuff.
What
That's
kind
what
of a filter is in there? Is it like a charcoal filter
Yeah,
or?
it's a charcoal filter. So let me pop this out. This is a replaceable charcoal filter. So this screws off. So these filters are about 30 bucks. But yeah, these are, yeah, it's a little charcoal purified filter, and it works really, really well. But yeah, these are about 30, 40 bucks. You want to replace these after about a year of use.
Okay.
If you let it sit, I would probably, if let it sit every 5 years. You want to replace these, but if you're using them, just after 1 year of use, just go ahead and buy you another one. They pop on the top. They work great. So this one's actually probably needs to be replaced, to be honest with you. If I'm being real, but to be honest with you, this thing's probably still rock solid. You could, if in an emergency, let's say in a grid down scenario that lasted a little bit and you need to replace these, you could still use this as a filter and then boil the water afterwards. So
Mhm.
this will just filter out the particulates. But I say all that to say you still need a water source. So we've got wind. We don't want too much wind when we're finding a place to camp. And we need a good source of water. So we'll do that. So we got two down. So do you remember what was our third, buddy? What was our third W? Do you remember that?
To keep the fire without burning up the wood.
That okay. You said it. Wood. So we got the wind and the water, and our third one is wood. So when we're doing a campsite, we need to have an ample source of good wood. We don't want to have to be walking 2-3 miles to get a whole bunch of sticks, a whole bunch of wood. We want to have wood nearby. So you will need a lot of wood for the fire. Building shelters, making other resources. A large fallen tree provides a good source of firewood. The trees, such as pines, can provide a steady supply of fat wood. So always remember that. So just don't be like, don't be like out in the middle of a field and like, oh, I don't have any, I don't have any wood to do it with. And the next one is widow makers. Now, do you know what a widow maker is, my friend?
I think so.
Not really.
Not really. Never heard of a widow maker. So, what is a widow?
I don't know.
A widow is an old-fashioned word for a woman that lost her husband. So, that's what a widow is called. And a widow maker is something that kills a feller, something that kills a man. So you need to look out for what's known as widow maker trees. That's these fallen trees that are dead, that look like they're about to fall over. They're called widow makers. So always look out for dead trees or trees that are kind of hanging on a limb or whatnot. This is the biggest thing that I see people not paying attention to is dead trees, trees that are falling over or like laying on there. When I was in my survival class, even the instructor, he had laid out, everything, whatnot, looked up and he's like, well, I need to move it because by gosh, I forgot one of the main keys of this is those widowmakers. So that's the four biggest things or the four W's to establishing or, the first four W's of shelter making.
So your water filtration thing, can you just like go to the lake and just dip lake water straight into it or ditch water or whatever?
I have before. I've got a video on that. Yes, you can. And what you do is you just literally dip that and push it in. Now you can use a millbank bag, or you can use because the millbank bags are kind of hard to find. A shamog is what you can also do is take a shamog full of water, and you can use that as a pre-filter for this to kind of help save your filter. But yeah, you can use mud water right out of it, and it comes out clear, man. It's awesome. The Grail is straight awesome.
Everything going on, that's probably something people need to be thinking about too, is being able to get a water source that's drinkable.
Yes. And yes, be able to get a good supply of water, whether it be a creek, whether it be, I think like a good rain barrel system is something that people need to think about. It's like, because, I mean, even if it's a 5 gallon or 10 gallon bucket, like just cut your daggum uh what am I trying to say, Mike? Here, gutter, and put the 5 gallon bucket underneath it, and bada bing, bada bing, you got something. Like everybody and their brother has a hacksaw and a 5 gallon bucket. Your roof catches so many gallons of water. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I do have to put out a disclosure for anybody that's watching. You might need to check with your municipality because I
Yes.
know that there are laws against that they have placed in
Yes.
because of the amount of sewage, water, and stuff like that they account for. So if everybody starts doing that, unfortunately, yeah, it's a good thing because you can reuse it, but you might get fined.
Thank you,
Um,
Jess. I appreciate you saving my butt on that one. You're the
I
best.
know.
In
Tyler, oh, go
Oklahoma,
ahead.
Oklahoma, it is illegal. We're not allowed to even capture rainwater.
That's incredible to me. Here in East Tennessee, we're still decently free, but man, that Oklahoma, oof. But I
How,
but I get it. You're in a desert too.
and it's like but how can you control the rain, right? I mean, really, are people going to catch enough in barrels and stuff to really hurt anything? Because right now we are so flooded that the cow pastures are underwater here in Oklahoma. We are flooded. Everything is
I,
underwater.
I believe it. It has rained and rained and rained. This is the first week and a half in Tennessee that it hasn't really rained. So I believe it in Oklahoma. You guys are getting just as much as we are. So
It's crazy.
that's
We have
wild.
a, we have a silo just across the highway from us, and the
Hmm.
silo is in the middle of a cow field. The water is now up on the silo, and the field now is the lake.
That's insane. That's
Yeah.
whew, you must have gotten a ton. Uh, what in the what in the uh, what in the weather modifications going on over there?
Yeah. It, and what's bad is we got more rain coming, and they can't open the dam because they don't want to flood the houses down south.
Right.
So we end up holding all the water here. I'm on the back side of the dam,
Oh man. So
which is
you've just got
better than being on
now
the
that's
down.
going to destroy the crops. What are y'all growing? This are you on summer wheat or corn or soybeans?
Oklahoma's doing all of them. All of that's planted.
All that's
Yeah,
planted.
yeah. And one poor guy, he probably had 200 bales of hay right now that are
Mhm.
underwater. So it's ruined.
Oh, that's going to ruin it. That's going to ruin
Yeah.
it. He might make his money back maybe in In the fall, maybe on the second cut. Oh, now what we're talking about, folks, is we're talking about, and that's the big thing too, is with all this rain and all this. And the place I'm gonna be moving out to is pure farmland. So I'm gonna be right there with you, Mike. Is these local farmers that you have, they will lease out this space. They will lease out these farms and whatnot, or they'll be farmed by the landowner. Well, if the crops don't come in, or there's a bunch of rain like Mike's has, is that destroys their profit. And what I'm saying is they usually get two growing seasons. You get your spring and then you get your fall, and that's about it if you're lucky. And if you don't break even in the spring, you're just you're praying you break even in the fall so you don't lose money.
Right.
Which, but that can happen with, especially with these hay and corn and whatnot. So praying that praying we have a good fall, a good mild even fall. But
And
um,
then they're throw extra feed because the cows ain't got nowhere to graze.
yep, exactly. So now now it becomes a compounding problem here. So what happens is your food prices go up, then your beef prices go up because now you don't have enough beef. It can
Every,
really exponentially hurt a lot of people, a lot of
Hmm.
people. So
everybody.
sorry, I don't mean to go off that, but yeah, man. Um, but I've got the these books, man. You've got to. I highly, highly, highly recommend those Dave Canterbury books because they're awesome. They're pretty rock solid, man.
Where can you find those books at?
Yeah, you can find them online. You can find them usually at any bookstore, but mostly online. They're Bushcraft 101. This is advanced Bushcraft. And then it's got I think he's got bush like like wild eating and cooking and stuff like that. So, but you can find those. You can just look up Bushcraft 101, and it has the series of these.
Okay. Tyler had a question. He said, so when you're filtering water with charcoal in a survival situation and don't have a thermos, do you still have to boil the water afterwards?
So say that one more time. So Tyler said when you're filtering it with charcoal in a
Mm-hmm.
survival situation, I here's what I would recommend. I would always recommend boiling the water.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do not have a way to boil the water, drink the water. And here's my saying why. I would rather in a survival situation, most your survival action situations are 72 about 70 48 to 72 hours. You're going to get diarrhea or giardia, or if anything happens, you're going to get that within a couple days, not or to a week. You're not going to get that within hours. I would rather you be sick in the hospital and be okay than to find you dehydrated and dead within a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my thing: drink the water, and any survival guy, any survival person will tell you that. I would rather you, but I would rather them find you pooping pooping your brains out beside the creek, drinking the creek water, still being okay, than dead from dehydration. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I went
So,
in. I had some kidney stones decide to move on me, and
oh,
whenever I went into the ER, of course they hooked me up to IVs and everything. And the first thing he said was, "You're dehydrated," and I was like, "Really?" And he said, "Don't worry about it. 80% of the people that come through this ER are dehydrated." He said that is
yes.
so common anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Therefore, I mean, this is a little TMI, but there for a little bit, I think a lot of the nation has a lot of constipation, and that comes from dehydration. I switched from Coca Colas. I love me some Cokes. I love Cokes, but I had to switch from Cokes to these little Waterloos. Basically, the soda, basically just soda water, but to get myself hydrated again. And that's fixed a lot of my gut issues. It's just
This is
drinking more water.
That's what they told me to drink.
Does it the
Powerade.
zero? Yeah, they got it's got potassium in it, right?
Yeah, he said, he said, with you being dehydrated and having kidney stones, he said water and Powerade should be what you drink. Um, I got to give a little glory to God though, right here. Whenever I went into the ER, um, I previously knew that I had a 7 and 8 millimeter kidney stone, one in each kidney. A 5 centimeter or 5 millimeter, 5 millimeter kidney stone is the limit to what people can pass. Some can pass a 5, some can't. Mine were 3s that I passed. I passed 3 of them. It was terrible. But I have a 7 and an 8. And whenever I first got there, I told him because I'd had the scope done and everything that I had those. And I said, I have a 7 and 8. And he goes, well, if one of those have moved, then you're getting a helicopter ride. And I was like, really? He said, yeah. He said, because we're in danger of losing your kidney because those cannot be passed. He said, so if they're hurting you, they're blocking off your kidney. And he said, so you're going to get a chopper ride. So
Oh, yeah.
they wheeled me down to the CT scan, and I was hurting so bad, man. It is so bad. It is terrible. And I prayed. I told God, I said, God, let them things not be bad. Don't make me have to take a chopper ride down there, Just let this be something that I can pass and I'll be fine. So they brought me back. Of course, they gave me morphine. Morphine didn't do nothing for me, believe it or not. Didn't do a thing. They ended up giving me Tylenol in the IV. That's actually what stopped my pain. The doctor walked into the room and he said, well, everything's good. He said, you got 3 millimeter kidney stones. You shouldn't have any trouble passing them. We don't have to do a chopper ride. There's not an emergency. And I said, oh, so the 7 and 8 millimeter ones, they didn't move. They're still connected to the wall of the kidney. He said, you don't have a 7 and an 8.
Hey, praise the Lord.
And I was like, what? I said, I just went and seen a urologist. They done a scope. They found them both. One of them was the one they could blast the sound. The other one and the other kidney was not. And I told him, and he said, there is no way those passed. He said, so where they're at, I don't know. I said, well, I know where they're at. They're gone. And he went back and looked again just to make sure. And sure enough, there's nothing in either kidney. He said, everything's perfect.
Wow, man, dude, praise God on that one. That's see, little miracles like that happen I think I say happen all the time, but little miracles like that they do, and people don't talk about them enough, and they just think, oh, it just was this or that. It's like, no, God did those little things, man. That's pretty cool. That's awesome,
Yep.
man.
I had to give him glory for that because the doctor was like, there's no way you pass those. He said, absolutely not.
So, hey, there you go. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Shoot. Um, what else? Getting into the sheltering, I know we do. We talk, some practical steps, but let's talk a little bit about. We can't not have this without talking a little bit of Bigfoot, right?
Right. Right.
Of course.
And of
So
course,
a lot of folks
snakes. People are
go ahead.
worried about snakes too. Snakes are a big thing.
Oh,
Everybody always
snakes.
asks, you know,
So here's the thing about snakes. Okay, at least where I'm from in East Tennessee, um, a snake is not going to bother you. Like they are way more scared of you than you are of it. So let's look at the common snakes in East Tennessee. Is what I can give you is you have king snake or not king snakes, corn snakes. You have those black rat snakes or king snakes, the big black ones. You have rattlesnakes, and then you have copperheads. Those are your big ones. The two ones that are really poisonous are your rattlesnakes and your copperheads. Your rattlesnakes, the Lord gave them a rattle for you to hear them and say, "Hey, get away from me." A rattlesnake will do just about everything but bite you. It really doesn't. It does not want to bite you at all. and they will make tons of noise before anything else. Now, and a copperhead's kind of the same way. So one of the biggest things you want to do to make sure that you're not stepping on them in your campsite is you actually want to sweep out your campsite of leaves. To do that, it's super easy. What you do is you get a stick that would be like a 6 foot tall stick or whatnot. Cut you a stick with usually a little Y branch in it, and you use that, and you take it and you just sweep out those leaves and make you a nice bed of dirt and just sweep out all the leaves. That way you can have a great area to work with that isn't covered in leaves or whatnot. So none of those creepy crawlies can hide in them. So that's what I would say for those that are worried about the snakes.
What about them getting under your tent and rolling over on them? Can they bite you through the tent, you think?
I would say that's extremely that can they? Yes. Have I ever heard of that? No. I don't think they will, just because of I just because of the noise that you create and whatnot. I just don't see that happening. But can they? Yeah, they can, but I just don't see that happening very often.
You know, I was. What's weird down here on our lake, me and Logan's had it happen lately. We build a fire, and the water moccasins will come to the fire. Um,
Interesting.
well, yeah, they stick their heads up all around us. I was sitting in a chair one night, and I looked down, and one's coming up my leg,
Oh,
and I ended up kicking him out in the water. But
that's
we have
wild.
a lot of water moccasins here. I kicked a tree over, like you talking about widowmakers, it was an old dead tree, and I kicked it over, and it fell, and it busted open, and there was just a roll of them.
Oh
Mm.
man.
Yeah,
See,
we have a
See, I
lot
don't
of.
have I don't have that, so I can't give you I don't have any expertise with that. That's wild.
We have a lot of snakes here. Our cat didn't. What our cat do the other night?
It ate a snake.
Our cat ate a rattlesnake the other night. The cat
Man,
comes running up. I think yeah, I filmed it, didn't I? I put it out. I filmed it, and the cat ate the rattlesnake.
shoot, that's a good cat.
It was just teasing it. It was just smacking it. Then the cat had enough and just killed it.
Yep.
Hey man, a house cat is something. Hey, a good house cat's good to find. You ever heard of those? Here in East Tennessee, they have um, these shelters will get these feral barn cats, or they'll get the feral cats, and they will spay and neuter them, and they'll give them to farmers as barn cats. You can't really pet them or whatnot, but they're great to have around the house because they'll kill snakes, they'll kill rats and mice. They're phenomenal to have around.
And we
Hmm.
and we've got scorpions.
I have never seen a scorpion.
I tell
I've
you,
heard they're around, but tell me about them.
I'm probably going to pay for this someday. Uh, I was. We have little brown ones that get in our house, and they're all around the house. Everybody around here does. Everybody fights with scorpions. And Sarah called me one day, and she was screaming, and she said one had stung her on the leg twice.
Mm.
And I told her on the phone, I was like, "Oh my God, you're going to die." And she's like, "What?" I said, "Those are very venomous."
Oh, how bad was it? Was she freaking out?
Scared
That's
her
funny.
back, but they're not venomous. I thought they were though. I wasn't for sure, so I
You
gave
would
her
think
worst
so
case.
because of the stinger, but
Right, I gave her worst case scenario.
worst case scenario, we got to remove your leg, gangrene, you're toast.
I was just like Google, worst case scenario. That's what Google does. So, she ended up calling mom, and mom's like, "You're gonna be fine. They're not poison." But I think there is some poison ones. I think the black ones in like the desert are poison.
That's
Well,
funny.
I will add, I know this for when I moved out to Arizona, that you can actually sweep the ground at night looking for scorpions with a UV, black light UV, because they will actually glow. So
Oh,
one of the things that, yeah, we would do is if you're going outside to like take the trash out at night, because of course you can't really see a whole lot, you could actually sweep the ground and see with the lights whether or not there's a scorpion there. And they actually will show up somewhat underneath the ground too. So even if they are buried into the ground, it'll still kind of glow underneath some of the dirt.
Huh.
I believe rattlesnakes also will glow. I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up for certain. But I know that for a fact that the scorpions would show up with the black light UV.
Huh. The rattlesnakes glow. That's interesting. I
I'm not,
haven't.
like I said, I'm not sure about the rattlesnakes, but yeah.
Mhm.
So those UV lights, they come in handy.
Right, right.
I saw
I
the
want.
biggest rattlesnake I've ever seen in my life the other day. Me and my mom were driving the back roads looking at all the floods, and it looked like a broken limb was laying in the road, like half across the road. And I was just planning on having to drive around it. And when we got to it, it started moving. It was probably a 7 foot rattlesnake. It was probably that big around. I jumped out of the car. I tried to chase it down. It ran into the grass, and it kind of had an embankment. And as tall or as long as it was, I was like, man, that thing could strike me above my boot. Because I did have my snake boots on, but I was thinking with it being elevated, I didn't want to take a hit from something that big in the thigh.
No,
Or
no. That big will really mess with you. Woo, that's a big one.
yeah,
Golly. I have only heard or seen about those like in zoos. Man, that's a big one. Can you, can you
I have to.
imagine like go ahead, Jess.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, go ahead.
No, can you imagine if that got a hold of like a dog or a young kid? Be
and they
out.
say they say some of them have double fangs.
I've never seen the double fang ones. That's wild. That's
Yeah, I've heard
wild.
some rattlesnakes can actually have double fangs.
Phew. Mm, mm-mm. I don't like them obviously, but unfortunately in Tennessee you're not allowed to kill snakes. Um, just because of the rodent population. They want the snakes to equalize the rodent population so no one can kill snakes. So if you do kill a snake, don't post it on Facebook in Tennessee.
Yeah, hey, look here.
Like, yeah, yeah. TWRA really appreciates the help.
So what, you have to like call pest control to have them come and remove the snakes or what?
Yeah, basically, if you have like a snake in your house, yeah, you basically call pest control.
Hmm.
So shoot, I used to have a pet corn snake a long time ago that we found out in the yard, and I love me some corn snakes. So, but my sister Miranda, yeah, has a corn snake, has a white or albino corn snake called Pretty, and she's had that thing since we were in high school, and I'm not in high school anymore. So
Wow.
she still has it.
They'll
Miranda
live a while
still
then,
has
huh?
it. Miranda still has that snake Pretty, and it's huge. It's probably about 5-6 foot long now. It's not real wide, but it's long. So
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen high school.
yeah, just a few years, and if you're like me, a better hairline ago.
I'm getting there. I get
Hey man,
reminded of everybody says, I guess if some people think they have more hair, they're smarter.
ah, hey,
I would
I tell people to love the hair they have because if you talk bad about it, it'll leave.
I can't stand long hair. I've tried. My dad, he was Native American. My dad was a big guy, and he had long hair all the time. My hair starts getting long. I don't know. It drives me crazy. I can't stand it. I don't know if it's because all my jobs we always had to have high and tight. I
Right.
don't know what it is, but I just cannot stand, especially around my ears.
That may be it. I would love, man, I would love to have long hair, but I would look like how Anthony Hopkins has like that slick hair. Like it looks terrible. Like that's what I would look like. It'd be god awful.
Mickey Rourke look like
Mm,
Mickey Rourke.
it would look bad. What else you got?
I was just gonna comment on Don. He was talking about the fire ants too, and I know sweeping is another good thing. Not only will it help clear out of anything like snakes, but also fire ants. Because I know when I was in the military, we were doing one of our overnight drills, set up camp, and one of the groups ended up setting their tent up right on top of a fire ant hill, and they were not happy campers at
I'd
all.
say not. And it's and all it takes is literally you just take a stick with like a fork in it and just sweep the area. And it's
Mhm.
just you pay attention. It's like, okay, there's a big ant hill right here. Like I need to not put my tent right there. You know,
Mhm.
it's just it's a quick and easy thing to do. So
And cowboys used to think if they put their rope around them, that the snake wouldn't crawl over the rope.
that's I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't heard about that. I hadn't heard about
I
that at all. I don't
don't
know.
think it works. I don't think it works. I think it was just a thing they done. A lot of cowboys around here, I talked to them. Believe it or not, here in Oklahoma, they do still ride horses and round up cattle on horses, and they shoot their 6 guns and all that. And they'll camp out on the creeks and stuff, and they do the old ways. They'll say, they take their rope and they'll lay it around there where they sleep, and they say that a snake won't crawl over it because it's rough. They don't like it, but I think it's just superstition.
I think that's an old wives' tale.
Yeah, I think you're liable to wake up with a snake under you. But of course, a lot of them say, they've never woke up with a snake under them. So
Uh, I just think I, I just don't. A snake's smart enough to see like a. So they see that heat and they see that that's a big animal. I'm not going to go toward that something that can kill me. You know what I'm saying? That's my thought or my theory on it. So I'm, but I've never, because I've never heard of someone, waking up with a snake, sleeping next to a snake or whatnot. I don't see that happening. But that's just, again, my opinion.
man, I'll tell you, I woke up one. This was in a house too. I woke
Mhm.
up one and I rolled over and I just opened my eyes right when you're opening your eyes, and I was looking face to face with a snake under my pillow that had looked out and was looking at me.
Mm-mm.
So I fell out of the bed. It was just a black snake. It wasn't nothing that would have hurt me,
Right,
but it caused me to hurt myself.
right. You're freaking out more. That's funny.
I had a
That's
fire
funny.
ant the other day.
Yeah.
You had a fire ant, but oof.
I
What'd you
heard
do?
it was like a little bug. I didn't know what it was. I seen it and I was like, oh, it just started hurting so bad. I flicked it off, stomped it.
Mm-hmm.
It stung bad.
With all
I
the
bet.
flooding, everything's bad. The ants, the
The
animals,
bugs.
they don't have nowhere to go.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, do you know what? Do you guys have these little plants out in your yards? And you ever heard of those little plants called plantains? I mean, they're just out in your yard. Those little five strand plantains. You know what I'm talking about?
I have heard of those, but I don't know exactly what they look like.
They're out in they're most of the time out at least in the eastern Appalachians. I'm not sure about Oklahoma, but they're just these little plantains, and they're literally they're out in your yard. And what you can do, buddy, is when you get bit like that, you can kind of use it like tobacco. You can get that, you can take it in your mouth, chew it up, or you can just take it and just kind of roll it up, make a paste, and put it on that bite, and it'll help draw those toxins out and kind of help the pain. It's not going to be like a Tylenol or ibuprofen, but in a pinch, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And it's called plantains, and you can actually eat it, and it's just fine for you. You can you can do that. So
What we've been worried about, I don't know if you've heard about it, and I actually got it wrote down in my notes to talk about camping sites and poison, vegetation is the poison hemlock. That seems to be
what?
getting a lot of
Ooh,
attention.
that has been getting a ton of attention. I am I am a little ignorant on exactly what about the poison hemlock, but from what my research has done on it is it look you a lot of people will think it kind of looks like Queen Anne's lace or this white things, but what you want to look for is like a polka dotted stalk, like a white and reddish stalk. Now, a lot of sites will say it's so poisonous you can't even touch it. And yes, it every part of it is poisonous. So so you don't want to touch it, but it's not going to like seep into your your skin or whatnot. But if you get anything in your mouth, yeah, it will be. So you don't want to touch it. You just kind of, if you see it, don't mess with it. Um, you can cut it down if you want to, but you need to wash your knife, wash everything that comes in contact with it, just in case. Treat it like you do poison ivy. Wash everything. Don't go around it. Don't mess with it. Don't touch it. That would be my advice to you. Don't freak out, but be like, also don't lick it either. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there was a guy. What got all the attention going is he was cleaning out his yard and he mowed it, and he ended up in the hospital, and they had to put him in a coma because he was mowing it, and he
Mhm.
now heart surgery and a double lung transplant.
So he inhaled so much of it while he's mowing it. Yeah, that makes. Ugh, I hate that for the guy.
Yeah,
But
it's terrible. It's and everybody's saying it's so bad, and it got a lot of attention. I think I even had a video of it maybe on here that I had saved. I don't know if I still have it.
You gotta watch out for crow poisoning. I thought it was an onion, so I brought it to Nan. It smelled like an onion, and I brought it to Nan, and she said that was crow poisoning.
Crow poison.
Yeah.
What
so
was it? What was
It,
it called?
it's called crow poison.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, I don't know if that's the actual what you all would call. It's a native. Us as natives, that's what we would call it. You have wild onion, and then you have what
yeah,
you call crow poison, and they both smell the same, except
huh?
for wild onion has a hollow uh, tube. It comes up like you buy at the storehouse hollow, and the crow poison will have a solid stem, and it's very poison.
Oh, I've never, I've never, never seen that. That's cool. That's super cool, man.
Yeah,
I've
my
ne-
grandpa was full blood Cherokee, and he would not go to the doctor. He made his own medicine,
uh,
and
I,
he ended up passing away actually from gangrene on his toe because he got so old he couldn't go out and pick what he needed, and he wouldn't go to the white doctor because he always said that the white man would kill him anyway. He was just very, you know, old fashioned. He was 100 years old when I was 11. So
I
I
mean,
mean, he went a long ways back, and he spoke fluent Cherokee,
that's
and
cool.
he got bit by a rattlesnake, and he went out and picked his own stuff, mixed it with what he called coal oil, and which was actually kerosene, but they called it coal
Right.
oil back.
Co-
And he all his little plants together with it, stuck it in a bandana, wrapped it around the cut, sat in the shade tree, drank some tea, and he never got sick or anything.
I believe that. I believe that 100%. And I think that I'm a big believer in a lot of that, and I kind of want to get into this for just a second too. Is um, I believe that it's up to us uh, to know what the Lord gave us. I do believe that the Lord gave us all the plants and the herbs and the trees for medicine, for these things, and the Lord gave it to us. It's up to us to know and to use those resources that He gave us wisely. One of my big things that again Dave Canterbury teaches is trees are a four season resource.
mm-hmm.
um, Herbs are a usually 1 to 2 season, spring, summer, whatnot. But trees are a 4 season. A good example is a pine tree. Pine tree, you can use the needles for for pine tea, which is a great amount of vitamin C. You can use it for wood. You can use the sap for astringent properties. You can use it for medicines. You can use that sap to help start fires. You can help that sap to put on your wounds and to heal them and to create like a excuse me, like a almost like a glue like thing to help with cuts, all that. So and that's just from a pine tree, just one tree. There's just so many different trees that do different things, and I think your grandfather, I think that's super cool, because I'll tell you what, the white man doctor will kill you. Will kill you quick.
Well,
That's what, that's
think
what
about, yep. And you think about dandelions. We've been raised to that dandelions are a horrible, horrible thing, but it helps with high blood pressure, and yet
Yes,
we're
I
being
believe.
told, pour chemicals all over it, get rid of it. You don't want it in your yard. But
I know.
what
I
are the
love them.
pharmaceutical companies doing?
I'm convinced the dandelion, like the dandelion cures the big C word, but you can't say that. But
Right.
I think it I think it can definitely help, not cure, but definitely help. How's that?
Mhm. Right. There's a
So
lot of stuff in nature that can actually help with it that we're told, you know, don't grow it, don't have it, don't want to see it, get rid of it. It's bad. It's a weed. It's horrible.
yeah, dandelions. I think tobacco and nicotine. I think that has really been been one of those things that people has just gotten really bad. Now, do I think smoking is great? No, but do I think that nicotine is not as terrible as people say? Yeah, I think nicotine is actually decent for you. There's been some studies show that nicotine has helped with appetite suppression, and it's helped with people that are older than 50, like help with cognitive things, like
Hmm.
big time. So I I, I think that there's a lot of things that we get wrong in modern medicine.
it's the additives that they put in the
Right.
tobacco is what kills you.
The
Oh
rat
yeah,
poison.
yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I know a guy that that I grew up with. His name is Charlie Lovell. Charlie Lovell's 90 something years old, um, and has chewed a pack of Red Man every single day. And that guy, to my knowledge, is still kicking. And, you know, and like you said, it's just he works out in his yard and does this thing and goes on. But so it's kind of like, oh, you're gonna, if you chew, you're just gonna get this and that. Well, maybe so, but this guy ain't. You know,
I think a lot of it's hereditary, and
I do too. Yeah.
I think faith has a lot to do with it too. I think when God put us here, He gave us an expiration date, and I don't believe that we can extend it. He even tells us, why worry about tomorrow? Can you extend it by a minute? No, you can't. You have no control over it.
That's right.
It's easy to say it though, than to have the faith to believe it. The faith is the hard part. I think that's what everybody struggles with is our flesh. Our flesh gets in the way and causes us to lose faith, and losing faith, we don't get the full glory of what He could give us if we was to just have the faith of a mustard seed. And speaking of mustard, I'll tell people in the chat too. This works really good for stings or burns. If you put mustard on it, do not rub it. If you rub it, it don't work as well. Just put mustard on it. Now, it's not going to work immediately. Give it 20, 30 seconds, and you'll be amazed at what that will do for a sting or a burn. It will amaze you. Like my little dude right here, he got burned pretty good on his finger.
No, my face actually.
And you got your face too, but his finger was really hurting. And I told him about the mustard, and we ran in, and I grabbed the mustard, shook it up, put it on there, and I was like, "Don't rub it, don't touch it." And it hurt him for about 30 seconds. Next thing you know, he's like, "It don't hurt no more." I don't know what it is, but my grandpa taught me that. He was like, "Mustard, but you don't rub it.
Mustard.
Don't rub it."
Yeah, plain yellow mustard, not like the Grey Poupon, but plain yellow mustard.
No,
Yep.
yeah.
It'll take
Yeah.
it'll take the pain right out, and it'll work for a sunburn too.
Yep.
Huh.
I learned that too when I was working in the restaurant. That was like the go-to.
I did not know that. That's wild. I will write that down.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It works amazingly well too. I got hit by a what are they called? A yellow jacket. We was going in the door, and that dadgum thing. I've been stung by bumblebees too, and that little dude, he hurt as bad as a bumblebee. He stung me on the ear, and I was dripping blood out of my
Wow.
ear where he stung me. And I was like, "What in the world?" I mean, it hurt bad.
Right.
Squirt mustard on it, laid there on the couch for a little bit, took the swelling out of it and everything.
I got stung on the leg by a yellow jacket.
Yep.
Oh man, that'll get you. Oh, ugh, I can't stand those yellow jackets, man. I don't like those yellow jackets. That's one thing that you should tell me to pay attention to is yellow jacket. I do not like them.
Well, we got hornets. We got ground hornets. I've never been stung by one, but I've heard that they are worse than any of them.
We don't have ground horn. We don't have the ground hornets. We have the ground yellow jackets, and like that they'll burrow in there, and you have to watch out for them in the Smoky Mountains, man, because you'll just be walking along. Oh, this is cool, and you'll look down and you'll see about 3 or 4 of them start going in a hole, and it's like you better move on because you don't want to. They'll attack you, man. They're just wild, but usually what'll happen is a bear will come by and we'll dig them out and eat what larva is in there. But man, I hate them. I don't
And
know
then you
why God made them.
and then you started to say we couldn't do it without talking a little bit about Bigfoot too at our campsites.
That's right. So so Bigfoot or the paranormal stuff. What you want to do is you really want to trust your gut on this one. So if you go to a site and you got everything laid out and everything's looking good, but yet you can feel that eeriness in the air. You feel that move on, find another place, go there. And once you found that other place that works out well, there's a few tactics you can use. One of the more expensive ones, but it's really good, is you can set up trail cameras. Now, one of the biggest things is they will not get on trail camera. Whatever rule set they have in place in their kingdom or their world, they won't be on camera. They do everything in their power to not be found and not be seen. So with infrared trail cameras are the best actually, because what they'll do is they will spread this infrared light and it's basically like shining a flashlight. Now we can't see it as humans because we can't see in the infrared spectrum, but I believe they can, and it's basically like you're shining a flashlight. And you can either point those out into the woods or you can point those and make what's known as a little camera fence. So you'll have a camera pointed at a camera, pointed at a camera. So you can make it like a little triangle, or if you got 3 or you got 4, you can make a little box. But those that work out well. Now, if you don't have the money to do that, because trail cameras aren't super cheap right now, you can buy those awesome Christmas lights. So these little Christmas lights, what I'm talking about is the ones that project like onto your house, those little LED projection ones. Dad recommended that you can point those off into the woods, like whatnot, and whatever it is about those, that it's just the lights and whatnot just messes with them, and they don't want to. They kind of don't want to go near it. It's too much. It's too much. Too much things that can kind of show their abilities or show their outline. You can do that too, and you should be just fine with those 2 things to keep any of the creepy crawly paranormals away.
You know that not to just go all into Bigfoot in this channel, but the other night my buddy called me and I was out doing a boots on the ground and he said, "Hey, bro, I was at another place." He's like, "We was down here trying to fish and we couldn't fish because it was too swampy." And he's like, "But when we was turning around, the kids and we saw something run across the road, dude." And he's like, "It was big." And he said it was making noises. And he told me where it was at. So I packed up my gear and I hurried up and got down there and I did it on my live. And I went down the road where he said that it had passed. And now it kind of makes sense because whenever I got up to this road, the water is so high right now the actual bridge on this road, the bridge is underwater. You can't see it. The water is half a mile up our road in the fields and everything from the lake, right? And it's right to the edge of this road where he turned. I mean, there couldn't have been any more room. So I parked and I get out. I take off down this dark road, and you can only go about a quarter mile down this road and hit the lake again because everything's so flooded. I got right to where there was nowhere else for it to go, and I was thinking I wasn't going to see it at this point. I get down there, 3 of them walk across the road. I got them on camera. I think Jess was looking at one. They were what kind of bent over. She said it looked like to her, and then they stood up. I could hear them walking that bipedal kloosh, kloosh. And I was like, okay. But what was really weird, they were far enough. They always stay far enough where your light don't get them real good. But
Right.
I could see them. I could see them. And they walked across the road. So I sped up. I went toward them. I went a little faster. I started picking up the pace. Well, what I didn't know is there was a huge pile of fallen trees over to my right in a pasture. And I get this big, roar. I mean, you can ask everybody. I stopped. I just stopped. I was like, yeah, he's saying leave them alone.
Yeah.
And I just started backing up and started throwing the stuff at me. I could hear it landing in the water. It was, you know,
That's wild. But that totally tracks with so many things that they've done. It's like you'll have that one that's kind of on the side. It's like, and it's almost like, have you ever heard the adage of like these ones that are will make themselves known? It's like pay attention to me right now, type of
yeah.
thing like that. And I feel like if that happens, the pay attention to me right now or throwing stuff, it's I want you to pay attention to me while something's going on over there. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this was a larger one that went across first. The second one that went across was not as big. It was,
Could have
I'm
been,
guessing, a juvenile, not a
yeah,
baby. It was
but
probably half the height.
right, right. So that's why. But how did the roof sound? Was it like
It reminds me of if you know how a dog, like if he's laying down and he doesn't all the way bark, but he knows there's something outside that's bothering him, he'll kind of do that before they
yeah,
get excited. But then you got to add in like the horse's lungs to it. It's a lot bigger, a lot
right,
deeper. Kind of barrels through you. It's like, I mean, it was enough that when it done it, I knew to stop. I
right.
knew, I knew.
Like your
Okay,
your body instinctively is like, all right, I'm good here.
oh, I just stopped. Yeah, I mean, the hairs on my neck stood up. It's just like one of those. Okay, yeah, I'm not coming any close. I just started backing up. I knew that it didn't want me there from Bennett Granny's. It was, I think, giving me a chance to leave. Uh, you know, being down in the flooded water, I'm by myself, and these things are smart. They know that if I cross the line, that they could pull me under and something could happen.
Oh
And
yeah,
I went down there and fell in and drowned. That's going to be. We have people drowned here every year, and they don't never question it. They just he must have fell out of his boat, or he didn't see that ditch there. He stepped off in that old deep ditch or whatever. And we're not as sophisticated, and I'm not knocking our first responders and stuff, but where I live, we are still behind the times. We're a small county. We don't have the funding, and they just go down there and Billy Bob,
my
he must,
God,
yeah, he must have fell in, and if there ain't no like you know proof that something attacked you, and I'm sure a lot of people probably do, because our lake is dangerous. Our lake is a very dangerous lake. I tell people, don't go on our lake if you don't know it, because when they flooded that town, they didn't pull up grandma's clotheslines that were metal. They didn't cap all the wells. They didn't pull the gates. And you can smash that stuff, man, and knock a hole in your boat. My uncle, thank God, he was raised on it, and he took me out there and he showed me how to traverse that lake. And if you don't know, there's people. I mean, they come out there all the time and sink their boats. There's boats sunk all over.
I believe it. I believe it. There's definitely, you got to know the waters, and if you, like you said, you don't know the waters, you're screwed. And I don't know if Oklahoma's like TVA. They, a lot of the stuff they will, for damming purposes and for hydroelectric, they'll just go ahead and flood the whole thing, and safety be darned. We're gonna do this and have hydroelectric power. So
That's what they did. They just people had so long to move everything out, and then the river that ran through there just grew and grew and grew and grew until it was a lake. Uh,
that's what they did. That's what they did here in the East Tennessee Valley too. They they're by the actual Cherokee nation, or the Cherokee uh, capital, Tanasi, used to be on the what was known as the Little Tennessee River, and Fort Loudon Electric, they dammed that up and made Fort Loudon Lake. And from
you,
what people say, and that they did that 50, 60 years ago, and from what people say, they destroyed the most beautiful river you've ever seen in your life.
yeah, you talk about Fort Loudon. A guy that I watch on YouTube. I don't know if you've heard of him, Catfish
Mhm.
Dave.
Love Catfish Dave.
I
Love Catfish Dave.
love
He
that guy.
catches some big. He catches some big. I've seen him. I've only seen him one time out on the lake, and I was driving down. I don't know what I was doing, but I was driving down near the University of Tennessee, and Catfish Dave is out there on the side of the road, and he's
Oh wow!
got this big light. He's got this big YouTube light, and I yell out, "Catfish Dave!" as I'm driving down the road. But man, dude. Have you ever? Do you know who we're talking about, Jess? You ever heard of Catfish Dave before?
I've heard of him from Mike talking about him before, but I haven't watched him yet. No.
Catfish Dave is like, I'm gonna be out here. I ain't gonna catch jack crap. I
Yep.
guess I got a catfish. Here's a big 50-pounder out of Fort Loudon. There's no catfish in Fort Loudon. That's
Or
how he does it. He
he'll catch.
literally does it. And he's
Yeah, or
like,
he'll
I guess I got some skipjack. I'll just throw it out here. Oh, here's a big 20-pounder. It's just a dink. It's like a dink. That's the biggest fish I've ever seen.
and if the dog's barking, he'll go,
Oh,
"Shut
yeah,
up,
it's a dog barking. It's
shut
like,
up,
cat
dog."
dog.
What was it he said that one time? It made everybody so mad. He said, "Somebody ought to go over and give that dog a bowl of antifreeze."
Oh, dude, he'll say things like that, and people will lose their minds. But that Joker, dude, that Joker makes like $10,000 a month off YouTube.
Yeah,
He
he quit
lives
his
in
job.
Yeah, yeah. He lives in one of those really. I don't. He does, man. He does. And but his name, like Dave, like I can't remember his last name, but I mean, he's been in the Facebook things for a while. He's here in East Tennessee, and that cat. I mean, he goes out there and catches catfish, and he's good at it. He's
I
really good
know,
at it.
I know who you're talking about because Catfish Dave makes fun of Dave because he'll try to
So
talk like he'll say, "I'm going to go throw out my Kool-Aid chicken."
he'll make fun of all those things.
But
So
he goes to those conferences and stuff. They say Catfish Dave is really smart at like catching catfish, knowing where they're at, what baits to
oh yeah.
use. They say
Oh
he's
dude.
really
He for years he would bank fish. For years before he ever got a boat, he would bank fish, so he knew what worked, what doesn't, what things to use, what time of the dude knows what, like, when they're biting, when th're not, like what depth they're going to be in. I mean, he's very, very smart. I think he's caught one of he may have a record, or he's caught one of the record catfishes, at least in those like there's one on his channel. He's caught this catfish, Jess. This catfish is 100 pounds. I mean, it's the biggest fish I've ever seen. and it's huge. And he's caught these big. He's caught white ones. He's caught a few albino catfish that have been on there. Those have been pretty cool. But this
Wow.
dude will shoot. They're wild.
I bet I know somebody else you listen to then too that I
Okay,
love to watch. Me and
who you
Logan
want?
like, don't we?
Yeah.
His name is what is it? Zachary Fowler. Fowler's Makery and Mischief.
I love Fowler's Makery and Mischief. Yes, I love Zach Fowler. So Fowler was on he was on Alone, I think like season 8, and he won. And dude, that guy he makes these slingshots, he'll make these like boats and stuff. Like I love like Fowler, Zachary Fowler's he's a good one.
And
He's a real good one.
and you got to watch Ovens if you watch Zach. We like Ovens. You know, we'll watch him. Oh, Greg Ovens.
I haven't heard of Greg Ovens. I need to pay attention. You need to send me him.
As much as you like plants and stuff, Greg Ovens is self-taught. He lives in the Canadian mountains, and he goes out and he does bushcraft. And he might know more than Zach. And he will take the plants and he will show you what plants are good for you, what's not, how to identify them. But he'll also tell you, look for yourself. But he was doing the hemlock, and he was talking about you can eat the hemlock. This one, they're all part of the family. But then he said there was 2 guys out that found poison hemlock, and they got it confused with what you could eat. All one guy did was stick it to his mouth. The other guy ate just a little bit of it. The one guy died, and the other guy almost died just by putting it to his mouth just to stick his tongue to it to taste it.
No. Oh, that's wild. So I've always been told is like do the touch test, do the lip test, and do the tongue test. Like do the rub it on your skin, wait 5 minutes. Rub it on your lip, do the lip, wait 5 minutes. And then you can the tongue, wait 5 minutes before you ingest anything.
Don't
And
don't think that with shellfish or something,
I think that too, yeah. Like the
they rub-
5-5-5, like skin, lips, tongue. Before you, if you, but most of the time, if you're allergic or it's bad, it'll show up on the skin pretty daggum quick.
Mm-hmm.
If you just I'm talking good rub it in that skin and just wait. So that always, if you're questioning something, do that. It's skin, lips, tongue, 5 minutes before anything. So
there's a lot of knowledge in just watching those shows. I like to watch his 30-day challenges. Where he done like Texas and
oh
everywhere
yeah,
he. I mean, they made like a playhouse up in the trees.
I love that stuff. He does such a good job. He does such a good. What do you think? Shoot, not to get into this. What do you think about him winning alone and his wife divorcing him like right after that?
Well, he kind of hinted around too. It kind of aggravated me that she said he was too big of a child because he likes to shoot his slingshot. He had his little range in his house. A slingshot range, and this dude can light matches. With his slingshot, and
Yeah.
he goes to slingshot competitions. But she said he was too childish because he liked to ride the bikes and build the pirate boat. And she thought that kind of things he needed to grow up. And Zach's like, no, I'm going to live life. He
Good
just
for
went
him.
in one of his shows, and went to oh the guy, won't you be my neighbor?
Oh,
Mr. Rogers?
yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
Rogers.
we went up to Mr. Rogers' old house, and he was actually looking at property there. He bought property in Hawaii, but man, the property out there where Mr. Rogers lives, a little bitty house, like a little bitty house on just hardly no land, starts out at $1 million.
Oh, dude, couldn't do that.
And
Well, I mean, Zach. Well, the one thing about Zachary Fowler too that he's done good is he's taken what he's done when it comes to that alone, and he's made himself a millionaire from it. Like I think he won 500,000, and then he took that knowledge and he has done YouTube, and he's done it magnificently. He does a great job.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so he's taken what that, and good for him, because sorry that because his wife leaving him just makes me mad. Sorry, that's one of those little things that irks me.
It
What do
did
you
me too.
what do you think about um, Luke from the Outdoor Boys
Uh-huh.
quitting YouTube?
I heard a rumor on that.
I
Uh,
did too. I want to hear what your thoughts are.
I heard back whenever he done a show, I believe it was in Alaska, that he had an encounter with the Pukwudgies and was actually either abducted by them or had a really bad encounter. Now, the only thing that they released on that, he was living in like a shelter that he had dug in the snow, and he was hearing laughing and things calling his name.
Mm.
And then he ended the video at that point, and then he had went missing. There was actually a search party dispatched for him, and they ended up finding him, and he was fine and everything. And then he was going to come out and talk about what happened, but then all of a sudden he decided that he didn't want to, and then he stopped doing shows. People started asking, "Where's he at? Where's he at? Where's he at?" He stopped doing shows, and then all of a sudden, he came back out and said, "Oh, I'm going to retire and spend more time with my family." And his other son has started a show, so he's going to help him.
So I didn't hear what you said. Like, what did he get abducted by?
Pukwudgies or something
Never
like that.
heard of this.
Oh, puckwudgies are little smaller entities.
Ooh, I have
Mean,
not heard of this.
yeah.
Yeah, and they're,
Tell
they're
me about
supposed,
this.
and they're known for being in Alaska.
Huh. Huh. That would that would make sense as to why he's just piecing out.
Yeah, because he was
Because
doing so good, and he owns what he owns like he's an attorney.
yeah, he's an attorney. Huh. I
I
would
think he owns,
love to. I
I
had
think
not heard about this. Huh.
yeah, I think he even owns the firm, and they
Man,
said he's the best DUI attorney there is up there.
I, I'd say yes. I mean, he's got money, but I mean, the thing is he's got money. He's got. I mean, I asked AI like how much Luke from the Outdoor Boys like makes it, and they are made, and he's probably made $5 to $10 million off his YouTube channel, which is
Yeah,
wild to me.
and
Wild to
he's
me.
so talented. I mean, he can do about anything.
Well, he started doing it with his catfish and carp. I used to watch his catfish and carp videos all the time before he actually did like the Outdoor Boys stuff.
Right.
When he was a little bit larger, he went and did that and he lost all that weight. But I would watch his carp videos and watch how he did that. How he basically he'd go out and he would literally before work he would go and he'd throw all this corn out there, and how he'd like the reason why you're not catching this carp is you're using this and this. He's like use this and do it like this, and he'd catch these big old 20-30 pound carp, you know, and I loved it, but
So what
man.
what what did you hear happen to him?
I was hearing that I heard the wife kind of just made him quit it just because it's like, hey, it's getting too much, we can't go, kind of like what he said is like you're getting way too famous, this is way too much, we can't go out to eat without you being stopped, that stuff. That's what I had heard,
Right. I
but
think
I
if I
hadn't
had
heard. Go ahead.
I think if I had that much money, I would just buy me a house out away from everybody. And just,
That's kind of my thing. So what you said makes a little bit of sense to me, because I mean, that I've told you the story about Les Stroud and where Dad's buried at, right? I've
right.
told you the them mind speaking to him, and that really messed with him for a few years. So
I can understand it. I mean, when I was younger, like I told everybody at Granny's, I mean, I loved her to death. But man, you just got to the point to where you didn't want to go down there in the dark. And you know, even going to her house, I had a little motorcycle. It was a little 80, and we lived probably I don't know, half a mile down the same road as Grandma in the country. So if I wanted to see her, I would jump on my motorcycle and I would ride to their house, you know, and I would spend a few hours with them, then ride back to my mom's. She was like my second mom anyway. She pretty much raised me. And so I went down and ride my motorcycle down there in the middle of the day, you know, park in the circle driveway, walk up the sidewalk, beat on the door, you know. And it was weird because if they didn't answer the door and they were asleep, taking a nap, or happened to be gone, man, it would freak me out so bad to be down there alone and to know they weren't there, and that I would run to my motorcycle, jump on it, and just like take off. Just that feeling, I hated that feeling.
I would too. It's just getting out of it. Oh, but yeah, I what you said about Luke from the outdoor, I hadn't heard that, and that now I'm gonna have to dig into that. I like that. I like that
I think
theory.
I think you can find, if they haven't taken them all down on TikTok, you can find it. It was really big on TikTok. Uh, yeah, I think TikTok's where I first found it, and it was I don't even know how they spell it. I think it's like Puckwudgie is what they call them.
Okay,
And
I'll have to look that up. I'd
yeah,
never
he's
heard of that.
a bad encounter. And it kind of made sense because, right, I mean, why would they release a video of him in like a dugout cave saying, you know, something weird's going on. I'm not sure what's going on. I've been hearing my name. Because he doesn't do that. That's not Luke.
Yeah, that is not him at all.
Uh-uh. And then whenever it just ended and then he stopped making videos, and then he was supposed to come out and say what happened, and then that never happened. And then all
And
of a
then
sudden, I'm quitting. I'm stopping.
yeah, that raises some red flags for me.
Yeah. And, you know, here in
And
Oklahoma, me and Logan go down there a lot because we have like our bottoms, you know, it used to be a town. You have pecans and we have, you know, the persimmons, and there's grapevines down there. And, you know, I had a guy tell me the other day, and I'd never heard this before. We'd be dead if it was true, I would think. But he's like, you know, you're not supposed to eat that honeysuckle. It's actually really poison. I was like, when I was a kid, man, Granny had it on her
dude,
fence. We used to eat it all the time.
yeah, honeysuckles left and right. You
Yeah.
don't eat you don't eat the red berries that come in the fall. You let the deer eat them, but dude,
Right.
honeysuckle it up in the spring and summer.
That's
Yeah.
what I remember. We'd pull them out. You know, we'd all try to see who
Yeah,
could get the most juice.
get the biggest one. Yeah, love me some
And then
honeysuckle.
persimmons, we eat the persimmons. You know, when they
Oh,
come out.
dude, yeah. Yeah, the persimmon. Well, you got to wait till the first frost. The little
Yeah,
yeah. For
yeah,
folks that don't know what we're talking about, persimmons are they're native. I know they're native to East Tennessee, or that, and they're native to the United States. You want to wait to the first frost because those bad boys are um, bitter, and they're astringent. They have the tannins in them. So tannins, tannins are like some almost they make your mouth dry, like literally they'll dry your mouth out like that. But
yeah. You can't
after the
even spit.
say it again.
I couldn't even spit.
Oh no, it just they would it's terrible. But
Is
if
that
after those persimmons, like after that first frost, after it hit that 32 degrees, oh, they turn sweet. Oh, they're so good. They're so good.
the same thing as in acorns too? The same
Yes.
thing.
So the tannins and acorns. So Cherokees, you could actually boil the tannins out, and Cherokees would make a acorn bread, but you have to boil the tannins out. So you would
Mhm.
you would boil it again, boil it again. You almost boil it until it turns 2 or 3 times until you get all those tannins out. Once you get that out, you can actually take it, mash the acorns, and make a good acorn bread. But you have to boil that tannin out, that astringent properties of that dryness out. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
grandpa that I told you was the full blood Cherokee. What he would say was when they would kill, you know, squirrels,
Hmm.
they would take the acorns out of their stomach and then eat the acorns because you didn't have to boil them.
That makes sense because the acid would take out those tannins. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Absolutely.
And
There's a
then,
lot of folks that will take turkeys and birds, and they will eat what's in their stomachs because they're not full. If it's in their gall, that they're not fully formed, it's fine. You just eat it, no big deal.
right. Another thing I learned from a Cherokee guy that I did not know, you probably know. He was telling me that the Cherokee used to survive on eating the berries off of the hackberry trees, and that they could make bread out of those also.
Yep, I've heard of it. I haven't ever seen it, but I've heard of it absolutely. And you just remember, it's like, again, the Lord gives you stuff. You just have to know how to use it. I mean, heck, could you imagine how much bread you could make off of a white oak tree? How many acorns fall off a white oak tree, dude? It's
Oh,
insane. It's
yeah, because
insane.
when I go deer hunting, I mean, they're just. I'm always griping because they're crunching under my feet because I'm trying to be quiet.
But could you do that, make flour, and yes, it's not like, get you a little bit of sugar it up, salt it up, ta-da, you got sweetbread now.
Right.
It's like the Lord has given us so much. It's just we just don't know how to use it. Well,
Hmm.
genuinely, is my
Yeah.
opinion.
I actually bought one of those books, the herbalist books that actually goes
Yeah.
through and lists everything. And I'm amazed some of the stuff that I have read in there. Like some of the stuff I know, like willow bark and cherry bark and stuff is a natural aspirin type thing or pain reliever.
Yep.
But there's stuff in there that it's just like, who would have thought?
Yeah.
I love reading through there and finding new stuff all the time. It's
I
really
learned.
That's
interesting.
I don't know
that's
how
super
true,
cool.
but the game warden told me that walnuts, wild walnuts, and the big green
Hmm.
thing. He said
Yeah,
them
the
are
black
poison.
walnuts. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know they were poisoned because I thought we ate them, but he said they're poison. The
I've seen people. I've seen you just take the green off, and again, you boil you take the green husk off, but you boil the center, and you boil the poison out, boil the tannins out. But
he he was saying that the roots of them were poison and that they produce arsenic. That's what it was.
the arsenic may be it, and it probably has a very low amount of arsenic, but I can see that. But I wouldn't have anything to worry about. Now, black
So,
walnuts make a great dye. You
ac-
know what I'm talking? You ever talk? Did that talk about it in your book?
well, actually, that was one of the things I had been reading is that of all the walnut trees, black walnut, if you grow a black walnut tree on your property, by the time you're ready to quote unquote retire, the walnut tree right there will produce enough walnuts that you could actually make a whole lot of money on the walnuts that it's producing with the dyes and such
Yeah.
that it produces. But I did want to read. So it says black walnut trees produce a toxic substance called juglone, Juglone, which prevents plants from growing under or near it.
Hmm.
So it must be something that it actually produces outside or gives off. Um, it says
As
best to avoid planting near the black walnut trees because then you can actually, and so any plants that are growing around it would actually produce or hold
get
in the
the
toxins.
okay, interesting. I had
strange.
not heard that before.
I didn't know it until I was talking the other day. There was a game warden was talking because a lot of people. It's kind of weird. They go to the cemeteries around here to pick nuts and berries and fruit.
Right.
And a lot of the cemeteries around here, we have what we call a relocated cemetery, is what it's called. And what it is when they flooded the lake, they had to move the Indian cemeteries and all the white cemeteries and everybody's, and they had to relocate them because of the water. Well,
Right.
they put them all over in town. But when they did it, some of those, my uncle was a mortician. Some of those people were buried in pine boxes back then, a lot of people.
A lot of
And
people were. Yeah.
some of them, when they dug them up, didn't have a lot of box left around them. So they just took them and reburied them. if you're eating fruit trees growing out there, are
Yeah.
you eating? You know,
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Oh,
I can't
I
do
guess
it.
the fruit. I guess the fruit. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all fertilizer. It's terrible. Like,
I
Such
mean,
oh,
a life.
you
I
know
know, man.
that kind of bothered me. I mean, you go out there and you take a bite of an apple and you're like, oh, that tasted like
Mhm.
medicine. You know?
That's terrible. That's terrible.
I mean, I can't do it. I don't have it
You don't
bothers
have it.
me.
I will tell you what makes fruit trees grow really good. You get you a squirrel or two, and pop them, dig it up, pop them right beside the roots. Oh, that tree will love it. That
Oh
tree
wow.
will love it. But if you like squirrel hunting and it's like one has some weeble worm or whatnot in it, just dig it, dig you a hole, pop it right beside that fruit tree, ta-da. And that decaying animal will provide good nutrients for it. Same concept as the corn and the fish with the Cherokees Indians. Same concept. Does that make sense?
Huh? Yeah,
But yep.
because we love squirrel around here. I mean, when it's squirrel season, it's squirrel and dumplings and fried
Oh
squirrel. Just
gosh, yeah. Do you parboil your squirrel before you put it in the dumplings? Is that how you cook it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then even whenever I learned a trick from another guy that I live by. He's a Native American, and my daughter didn't like them at first. She's like, "Oh, they tasted woodsy." And
Right.
he said, "I'll tell you a trick." He said, "Take them home, boil your squirrel. Boil them for a while, low boil, get them tender. Take them out, pat them off, dry them off. Take a whole onion," he said, "chop the onion up, throw it in your grease, cook that onion," he said, "till you can almost see through it. Dip the onion out of the grease, but leave the grease." And he said, "You can eat the onion if you want or not, and then fry your squirrel in that grease." And I did that, and you wouldn't believe the difference it made in the taste of that squirrel. I mean,
Interesting.
it tasted as fresh as chicken. It was,
Yeah, I believe that, and I absolutely believe that. And I think people also, when it comes to wild game meat, they think that we're going to have this tender, flavorful thing that we're so used to of a chicken that's never had to run for. It's just stood in one place and ate, or a cow that's literally stood in a barn and ate, and that's all it's ever done. It's never moved. It's literally never moved.
right.
um and and people are like, well, this tastes different. Well, yes, it tastes different. This is a completely different thing. So we have to use a little bit different techniques to tenderize it, like the boiling and the onion, but also understand that that's the reason why we have to do those things.
And it don't have all the injected stuff into it. It's actually how we was meant to eat it. And like me, I can tell you, if you bring me a rabbit somebody raised and go shoot me a rabbit, I can tell you the difference. I don't like a homegrown rabbit. I don't like it. It tastes like pellet. I'll
You can
go out
actually
and
taste the pellets, can't you?
taste it. Yeah, I can taste it. It tastes like I'm going out there eating rabbit food.
Hmm.
And another thing too, people don't think about. They say, "Oh, them poor chickens," but meat chickens. If you actually take a meat chicken and you try to grow it and just let it raise up on your farm, they grow really big, they die. You'll go out there one day and half of them will be dead. They're not made to live long. They're made to grow fast and die.
Exactly. Same thing with an Angus beef cow. It couldn't survive out in the wild. Couldn't survive at all.
No.
Like, because it's made to, like you said, just get big, get fat, and then just be there. It couldn't survive at all.
And I love a good steak.
I do too. I do too.
I
But
think the misconception is that we are in our minds and through media and stuff, we're, a full meal is that meat and potatoes, that steak and potatoes. So everybody has that concept, but that's a lot of times I think people actually eat way more beef and and protein than they actually need.
Yeah, I think more of a pescatarian meal, more of that is what we really need. More fish, and
Mhm.
I do believe they've put, your grandfather's generation, Mike, was right. You know, the white man's poisoned the rivers, poisoned the waters, and we can't even eat the fish anymore without having
Right.
to worry about stuff. But back, a couple hundred years ago, like fish, not beef, fish was your main source of meat. And when was the last time? When was the last time fresh fish, other than maybe catfish or something like that, was on the menu? It's like the old fashioned game fish like crappie, bass, bluegill. Like, man, those were staples of a household back in the Great Depression, and people don't even think anything of them now. Won't eat them. You know what I'm saying? So
That's what my doctor told me the other day. You know, I'm seen at an Indian clinic because I'm Cherokee Nation, so I see Indian doctors, and they still go with the old ways too. They take modern medicine and mix it with what they know. And we were talking about cholesterol, and and I said, yeah, I eat a lot of meat, and he said, meat's not bad for you. He said the fat on the meat's not bad for you. He said, but that beef jerky you buy at the corner store is bad for you because it's trans fat. He said, you can go out there, eat a fresh cow every day, eat the fat off the pork chop, you'll have good cholesterol. But whenever you start eating the meat that is made into your chicken nuggets, your fish stick, and all that, he said, you're not eating good. Then you get into your trans fats. And he said, that's what makes your heart and your arteries clog up. He said, did you know that most butter that you buy out of the store, that you smear on your bread every day, is one molecule from plastic?
I did not know that, but I believe it.
That's what he told
Now,
me.
is
He said,
that the
one,
butter or the margarine?
he said, any of it you get out of the store, unless you pay attention, he said, and get real butter.
Mm-hmm.
He said,
Like
you're one.
Amish butter and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then he was, and I told him, I said, well, I try to go and get the best I can. He goes, we all should do that. But the bad thing is, the best that we can buy out of the store still has preservatives in it. And that animal was pumped full of preservatives and rabies shots and penicillin. He said,
Mm-hmm.
why are so many people, he said, resistant to penicillin now that used to wasn't? He said it's because we put it on all the animals that we eat and we train our bodies to be immune to it.
Yeah, I believe that. That's wild, man. That's
And
wild.
by the way, hello to him. He's a subscriber to both my channels, my doctor.
Hey, but I love it. I love it. I love it.
But
Shoot.
he talks to me about a lot of the old ways. Look back at our grandmas. He said, look back. They got up in the morning. They ate bacon, fried eggs, biscuits and gravy. They ate lard. Everything was cooked in lard. He said usually grandma had a grease thing on her stove, shh, that held the lard.
Mm-hmm.
And how long did they live back then?
It's
90s, 100 years.
nice. Yep.
Was open heart surgery heard of? No. But he said
No.
now when you get into the trans fats, to where they're pumping all this stuff into it to make it last longer, to make your meat last longer, to make it redder longer, you know, that's where we start having our problems because
Yes.
we're not meant to eat old stuff. We're meant to have fresh meat. Men, he said, the warriors, as he calls us, they were meant to be the hunters and the gatherers. He said we were meant to get our stuff fresh every day.
I'm right there with you. You would get something, like you said, something fresh. And to be honest with you, if you killed a deer, you kill a deer, and you can literally eat the daggum. I mean, wash it off, but you could literally eat the tenderloins right out of the deer. It will not hurt you at all. Even if you wanted to sear it, that's fine. But you could literally eat that raw meat, and it's okay for you. But like you said, it's fresh. It's there. So,
Just
but
like
man,
the first kill, you have to take the bite out of the heart.
Oh, I love it. I love that stuff. And you know what we also don't eat anymore? We don't eat any organ meat. Those are so good for you.
That's one of my
So,
favorite things is liver and onions.
yes. The
Oh,
Jess, do you ever eat liver and onions? I'm telling you.
That was the one meal my parents always knew that me and my brother, we tried it. I did try it, couldn't do it. That was the only meal that my parents ever would make two separate meals for when my dad would cook. It was liver and onion night.
I
Otherwise, we were eating it, but nope.
I love all the organs.
Well,
I love
here's the thing. If you will look at a roadkill deer, the first thing that is eaten are the eyes and the organs. Period. And they will be eaten immediately because those are the prized choices of meat. Those are where all the vitamins are and all that. So that will be eaten before anything else.
I actually drive to the butcher. We have butchers around here, so I can get fresh meat, and I actually go buy the cow heart
I
and
believe
the
it.
calf rice, and I'll eat chicken livers and gizzards and all that. But I'll bring that cow heart home, put it in a pot and boil it, put potatoes and carrots and all in it, and onion
Oh,
and
buddy, that's good.
makes the best. I mean, I
Oh,
just
yeah.
but I was raised eating that kind of stuff. We was
I,
raised.
I made the kids eat eat the deer heart, and I cooked it like a steak. As I cleaned it out and made it look good, and
Right?
and I cut it into little pieces and gave it to them with ketchup. But they liked it with steak sauce. That's what they
Oh,
wanted. So they
yeah.
were like they love it with A1 sauce. So
Do
they
you
didn't
like the
like
calf
it.
fries?
Say it again.
Do you like calf fries?
I've never had them.
Delicious. Tastes like
I have
steak.
to. I
Uh,
have to.
every year we have a festival that's about
Mhm.
20 miles from me. They have a big carnival, then they have a rodeo, and they cut all the cows before the rodeo, and they have a big calf fry. Man, honestly, if you didn't know, it tastes just like a tender steak, chicken fried steak.
Interesting. Interesting.
They're delicious. I eat them
You
all
know,
the time.
you know what they are, right, Travis? Oh, okay.
I know what they are. Yeah,
Yeah,
we call them mountain oysters.
yeah, yeah.
That's what we
But
call them here,
what
East Tennessee. You ever heard of that mountain? But yes, I didn't. I was like, is he talking about Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
what
But
I just keep thinking back to that funny farm scene where the turkeys got to cut them off real high.
we all get real
a lot of
high
people don't
now.
realize where that
Now,
came from. The
now,
cowboys.
Buck. Go
They
ahead.
would the cowboy hands whenever they would go out and work for the ranchers. They would have a day, in the old west. They would ride out, brand the cows, cut the cows. Well, what they would do is when they would cut them, they'd have them fire going, and they would cook those and eat them as they worked out there. That was
Wow.
what they.
Okay.
And the rancher or the cowboy, the owner, that was fine with him,
Yeah.
and it was a delicacy for them. They didn't have to buy no meat that day. They'd make their coffee over there on the fire, and you got your meat.
By the way, boiled cowboy coffee is the best coffee, bar none. I love that and French press. Period. Those are my favorite coffees.
You
You
sound like
ever?
my friend Steve. My friend Steve loves it. He'll go out there and build a fire, pour the grounds right in the water,
Yep.
boil it, and then pour the cold water in it and let it go to the bottom and drink it.
Cowboy Kent Rollins on YouTube showed me how to make that, and the best coffee is that it's like you boil it. It boils all the, like I said, the tannins. It boils all the acid out of it. Is the smoothest, best cup of coffee you've ever had. I promise you.
I watch him also. He's here in Oklahoma.
He's a good one. He got that. Where in the world does he get? Jess, you know who I'm talking about. You ever heard of Cowboy Kent Rollins before?
Mm-mm. Nope.
He's got a great YouTube channel. this guy's like Mike said, he's out in Oklahoma. Where in the world do they get these people to carry this massive Big Bertha stove that he's got, this big cast iron, this wood stove, and he's got this thing out there, and it is the oldest, biggest stove, and that's what he cooks on, is this big wooden stove, and I think it's the coolest thing ever.
He's a real cowboy cook, right?
Yes, he's a real cowboy cook.
Yeah. He goes out with them when they do their drives and all, and he does all the cooking out. He's got the actual what was it called? The horses pull the wagon, the cook wagon.
He's got the chuck wagon. Yep.
Yep.
He's got that, and he's cool. He's the real deal. So I like him and all that. Who's that one feller that's got the big beard that everybody's been talking to lately? That is all cowboyish. He's got a big old beard and he usually smokes a cigar. He's got a cowboy hat, and everybody's been talking to him lately,
I
talking
haven't
about
seen
like men's issues and stuff like that.
him yet.
I don't know his
Uh,
name. I saw him. I've seen him on a few reels, but I don't know
Pink,
who he is.
Pink Pixie says, is he the one that does his dance after he's cooked? Cowboy
Yep.
Bob?
No, Kent Rollins does.
Oh, okay.
Kent Rollins does him. Yeah, Cowboy Kent Rollins. He
He's got
does
a
a lot of cast iron cooking. That's
he's got a pretty young wife too, don't he? She's pretty young.
well, I mean, money talks, buddy. So,
And but that old guy, to be as old as he is, he's probably in better shape than I am.
buddy, that I guarantee you that old boy is strong as an ox. I bet you.
Oh,
I bet he's very strong.
I'd
But
like
good
to
for
eat.
him, man.
I'd like to eat with him, man. He can make some food.
Dude, I bet. I bet. What's another good channel that we're not? Well, I know we're missing so many good channels, and that's
I
the cool
watch
thing about YouTube is it's just so many cool things out there.
I watch Jay and Cole. You ever heard of them?
I haven't heard of
It's
Jane Cole.
a younger couple. They go a lot of places, and one of the main things they like to catch is a bluegill. They show you a lot of different ways to cook bluegill.
Ooh. I haven't heard of them. The best. It's not on YouTube. It's on Facebook and Instagram. But the best little thing I found for cooking fish, Wade Fishes. Wade Fishes. You ever heard of them before?
Heard of that?
You look them up. It's WADEFI, fish FISHEZ. The dude he makes reels and he goes out like every day and it shows you a new recipe to catch or to cook like bluegill and bass and anything. And it's like in 50 seconds. And it's like, oh my gosh, that looks amazing. But it's like simple ways. He'll go to like the Dollar General store and show you how to do it. It's awesome. And he cooks everything off of like a little like Coleman stove.
Oh, see the guy that says first
Crank
you got
that.
first you got to get the fish.
Yes, that guy. That guy. Like
Yeah,
get the meat, like get the meat, and
yeah.
all that, crank that, little Earl. Yes, that guy.
I tell you a guy right now, and God bless him. He's doing great. His name is Arms Family Homestead. Have you heard of
Oh.
him?
No, I haven't heard. I gotta check him out.
He's here in Oklahoma. He was a highway patrolman. He started doing YouTube. The dude has exploded. They are doing videos on him right now. He has built, just from his YouTube, he has built a merchandise building that is so big, they made half of it into like a home. They
Oh
have
wow,
built a lake house. He's made millions, and you wouldn't believe the money he's pulling in right now. And honestly, all he's doing is showing people his everyday life. He's just documenting his life. Like we go out
that's
and we feed
awesome.
animals, we do this, we do that. He built a pond, a huge pond. I mean, I think it's a 5-acre pond.
Wow.
He built it for his son. It used to be his dad's. and his dad loved to bass fish, and his dad died early. So in honor of his dad, he remade it even better, and they're trying to grow, trophy bass in it. He's friends with Jimmy Houston.
Oh,
Jimmy
okay.
Houston lives right down the road, and he said, "Man, I never would have thought, been a trooper. I had a career, had everything going for me. But he said, who would have thought by picking up my cell phone and recording, I would be where I'm at right
Man, I believe that's great for him, man. I have not heard of this guy. You'll have to send that to me in a DM. That's super cool. That's super cool. But
now?" It's just
like, I like that. I think there's a reason why these channels do so well. Is we yearn for the what we would say is the good old days. We yearn um for someone being genuine. It's like, hey, I'm going out here. Let's do this. We yearn for um, that free American spirit again. Does that make sense? Like
Hmm.
we
Absolutely.
all yearn for that, and we see people out there doing it. It's like, well, I can like these people give them hope. It's like, well, I can do that. Wait a second. If they can do it, they're not Superman. I can maybe do this and this, and they just give people hope.
Hmm.
and, and the people that are elderly that used to live that way that can't go out and do it no more. They can still sit and watch it, and since it is YouTube, they have the ability to interact. It still lets them be
Yes.
part of it. You know.
And that's exactly right. Is they do have that like interaction, like hey, you can comment, you can all that, and that's what getting back to this, that's what I love about Dad's channels. I get to interact with folks like you and folks in the comments like. You comment every video. They're great. Like I love seeing their comments. I love hearting them, and I love emailing back and forth with them when I can. And most of them DM me and have some of them have my phone number. It's just it's definitely you can grow. You get to grow that like you said, to grow that experience and interact with people, and I love it.
Hmm.
And, growing up, some of my best times, was sitting on a riverbank with Grandpa and watching him, stick his hands down in that Folgers coffee can, pull out that worm, put it on the hook, the old Zebco 33, fiberglass pole, throw it out there, sets it down by his old lantern, that took the kerosene. You pump it up to get it brighter,
Yep.
and then he pulls out the metal can out of his coveralls, the Prince Albert, and rolls him a cigarette and sits there and pulls his coffee out of the thermos and talks to you and smokes his cigarette. That was the best days of my life.
Exactly. That's absolutely the best days of my life were um dad out of this little on we were on a houseboat in North Lake. We would go, and my mom and papa would come with us, and we would go bluegill fishing with a bucket of crickets, and we would go up to the dock and get us a whole. We would get two scoops full of crickets, or a tube full of crickets is what it was called, and they'd have them a tube, and they'd scoop up a tube, and you get two tubes full of crickets, and you would go and you fish for bluegill, and we'd fill the live well up with bluegill, and Dad had this old Coleman this red Coleman cooler, and he would take that Rapala knife, and he would just shoot, and we'd do it, and we'd have a fish fry bluegill just on and just yeah, like the best time of your life.
That's actually what I've still got. I've got the Rapala is what I use to do my filleting. Then I have
Hmm.
a Rapala bait knife too that I cut my bait up with.
Oh, that's cool. I love it. I love it. Just the old stuff, and man, phew, like you said, I miss those days. I miss them so much. I
You
miss them
know,
so much.
I think coming up, maybe not long, uh, those kinds of knowledge may be what causes us to survive. Because I hear a whole lot of talk right now about our GOVTs really worried about our power grid.
That's what I'm hearing too. I would I mean, you know, with well, let's be real with what's been happening in the past week. Um, there's no here's the thing. No one knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Zero people, because when the president of the United States has to get on a plane to go make sure that no one shoots any more missiles off, and he's saying both of these people don't know what the blank they're doing, that's a that's a big deal, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, especially
I,
when Washington has 50 nukes.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So these lights, this medium that we're talking on, this is a little blimp in history. I'm you know, my opinion is get what you can, get you an off grid source of power if you can afford it. If you can't, hey, I understand. Trust me, I understand. But know how to make fires. Dear Lord, bless it. If you don't know how to make a fire, go out tomorrow and buy and spend $20 and buy as many lighters as you can get your hands on and put them in a Ziploc bag and you'll be fine. Just please, God, do that for me. And then, and if you can't, do that, and then go buy a whole big roll of Gorilla Brand duct tape, and you'll be fine. That's all you need. That's your fire. That's your fire making and your fire start. And then just learn how to build a fire. And at that point, you'll figure it out from there. But if you do that one thing, I'll be happy. You know what I'm saying? Because dear
I was
Lord, people don't
I
know
was
how to start fires.
I was
Kind of
blessed.
like
My
your
mom's
necklace.
Yeah, that's my fire start necklace. Yep,
I
I
was
that's
love
actually
blessed.
mine.
actually yes.
My mom's brother was an Army Ranger, and my uncle was a Navy SEAL. So growing up with them in the woods and fishing and hunting and everything, they showed me so many things: how to build a defensive, how to do offensive, how to build certain things in the woods, and how to, uh, evade and escape. And they showed me a lot of things. And one of the major things was fire, and they showed me how to make it several different ways. And then I seen them do things I never knew you could do. They actually boiled water in a Ziploc baggie.
Yep, you can actually boil water, like you said, Ziploc bag. You can boil water in a plastic bottle. That'll be a one-time use bottle, but you can do it. You know, the water, if you boil whatever, like you said, plastic bag, water bottle, whatnot, the fire will not burn up that plastic where the water is touching. It will boil it, but it won't burn that plastic up. Now,
Hmm.
so a great little bit of knowledge to do. You can even start a fire with magnifying glass and the right amount of tinder. But you gotta have that knowledge up here, and you gotta have that practice to know.
Broken pop
So
bottle,
say it again.
a broken pop bottle.
Broken pop bottle be is it, yep, you can do that. You can even hold on here. Travis is Travis is going crazy. Hold on. So I don't know if you see this, like out in the Appalachian Mountains, you got these you've got quartz all over the place. You can take your quartz and you can do this. And if you have char, you can actually take this and I don't know if y'all can see that or not. If it, hold on, it might not spark for me on camera, but you can spark and you can actually throw sparks onto a piece of charred cloth or charred material and start a fire like that too. And you've got this, all around. So
And the problem is, a lot of people don't know how to make charred cloth, anymore.
bingo. Yeah. Most people don't know what char cloth is. Like maybe I bet you a ton of people in our audience don't know what char cloth is. Charred cloth is where you can get you the best thing to do is get you an Altoids tin and throw a piece of 100% cotton, or you can do it from natural materials. You can do a piece of punk wood or whatnot, but get you a piece of cotton material, throw it in an Altoids tin and throw that in the fire and just let it do its thing. What you're doing is you're carbonizing that piece of material and without burning it. So it will turn into basically like this big charred material and it will catch a spark like that. It will smolder like the end of a cigarette butt. And you can blow that and you put that in the middle of like a tinder bundle or a bird's nest and blow that into flame and you can do that. And that's a part of maintaining or thinking about what's known as your next fire. A lot of people in the survival things, and probably even in your Navy SEAL stuff, it's like you have that next fire mentality. How
Oh
am
yeah.
I going to make my next fire from the fire that I have right here?
That's what they told me. My uncle was a Navy SEAL. He said the number one important thing, shelter. Second thing, you got to have a way to make fire because
Yep.
nothing else matters if you don't have a shelter and fire. You can't cook. You can't purify water.
Yep. Fires. I'm right there with you, and I'll be honest with you. I'm lazy, and that's why I really like those lighters.
Well, he told me,
Yeah.
the cotton balls and the Vaseline.
Oh
He
yeah.
was big on those.
Oh yeah. Cotton balls, Vaseline, all that stuff.
He
Yeah.
said
So,
the
Go ahead,
Vaseline
Jess. I'm sorry.
cotton balls you could clean your gun with it too.
Very true. What were you saying, Jess?
like Sunshine was saying, dryer lint. And one of the things that I've gotten into the habit of, my daughter thinks I'm crazy for doing this, but my old tubs that I keep
Yeah.
when you buy the Tide pouches, it's a plastic container. It seals up nice and tight and keeps everything dry. I throw all of my dryer lint in there and just
Good.
shove it in there as much as I can and seal it up, and that's stored away for when I need it, whether I'm camping or something else happens and I
That
might need it.
That's great too. Dryer lint makes a great little tinder bundle bird's nest for it. It will mostly smolder, like it'll act very close to that char cloth, so it won't flash fire. It won't have that major flame, but it'll take that spark and kind of smolder a little bit. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like I said,
Yep.
the end of a cigarette, and you can take that and blow that into a larger flame with things that will flash fire
Mm-hmm.
and that's all. You guys being out doing the boots on the ground, that's getting in that dirt time. Those are just things that you have to do and get out and do. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that people, you know I used to be when it into prepping, when it was like I'm gonna have as many guns as I can, and I'm gonna be the tactical guy. And I think that's the wrong mindset when we have to like prepping and camping and all that stuff. Is like when the crap hits the fan, because we know that this what we have here is not going to last. I just don't believe it will last. um when that happens, it's like, I don't care how many AR-15s you have. You're not going to be, Mike. Most people can't shoot worth crap. An AR-15's not going to get them, not going to get them any meat. They're not going to be able to do nothing. And it's going to be, can you make a fire? Can you fish? Can you clean an animal? Do you know how to do that? Okay, I guarantee you, these people with all these AR-15s that have no clue how to start a fire, Jess, like don't have any dryer lint, like or any way to do it, they're going to be like, "Hey, Jesse, will you cook my food for me?" Stuff like that. It's what's going to happen.
Well,
So
and that's the kind of stuff that's going to become the monetary, the value. I mean, money is worthless in survival. The
yes,
the monetary thing is going to be, you know what? Sure, I'll trade you a small baggie of dryer lint if you
yeah,
hand me
yeah.
over to your rabbits.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to go to a barter system where it's like, I've got a box of, I've got a box of nails. What do you trade for it? This
Mhm.
paper's worthless. Um, so
Whenever I
that's
when I went to marksman school, I took marksman school, and it was offered. It was free, so I took it. And the rounds we were using were, the AR-15. It was in an AR-15 platform. But what I didn't know is the range master there. He was a ex military, and he said, you know, most people cannot shoot beyond 100 yards.
Exactly.
He said beyond 100 yards, most people cannot make that shot. And he tried to make an example out of me at the 350 yards, and I was hitting it every time. And he's like, "Have you shot?" I said, "Dude, when I was 10 years old, we could go grab the 22, go hunting. We wasn't treated, because a lot of my friends, I didn't know, when I went to school, they lived in town and their mom and dad were terrified of guns. Like, their kids weren't allowed to be around them. I couldn't take my gun to their house. I wasn't allowed to shoot there. And to me, it was just like, a gun is a tool. It's just a tool.
Right.
The
That
right tool for the right job.
I was the same. I was the same way. I had a BB gun, and I shot. Man, I shot cans all the time, and it's
Yeah.
like you just knew how to shoot. It's like you knew. I, I never remember anyone telling me how to line the sights up. Like I feel like I instinctively knew that, but I just don't remember anyone actually telling me that. You just went out and shot Coke cans with the Daisy, with the Daisy BB gun and the 2,000 BBs that came in that carton. Because
You just
there,
you just
I
figured it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I'm with you. Is like I don't understand how that, but we also have to realize is like that's not the 100% of society. That's not even the majority of society.
And how many people nowadays can reload a bullet?
Reloadable, I can't. I've got a buddy that can, but that
You know, and that's another advantage to prepping, is because if you can reload, you
oh
go
god,
out and people hunt ducks, they don't clean their stuff up. Nobody cleans their stuff up. People go to these little outdoor ranges, where they're not even supposed to be, but everybody goes there and shoots. They
oh yeah,
leave brass everywhere. I can go pick that brass up, bring it home, throw it in a tumbler, and then I can reload every bit of that and have ammunition.
yeah,
And once ammunition will run out, but also I was looking at black powder guns. You
yes,
can buy black powder in huge containers. You buy you a mold that fits your black powder. Cars are going to run out of gas. They're going to be stacked everywhere. What do cars got in them? Batteries. What do batteries got in them? Lead.
lead.
That's all you need to make bullets.
Yep. And I've actually got two large black powder guns, and I'm a believer in black powder. I'm a believer in black powder. I've you know I think that was the way of the frontiersman. If you can do black powder now finding finding the little cap's gonna be hard. If you can do a flintlock, old fashioned flintlock, oh gosh, like the whatchamacallits, the up in Pennsylvania, they sell flintlocks, a ton of them. If you can find an old fashioned flintlock up there and do that, and get you a ton of black powder or a ton of those caps, like you said,
Oh,
you're you're good. And
my,
a black powder ball will put down a deer like you wouldn't believe. And if
and
it'll
anymore,
put
a
go ahead.
lot of actual rifled black powder anymore. I mean, you can buy the cast for the rifling. And like my buddy was saying the other day, he loves black powder. He's like, you can buy 1,000 caps for literally nothing. And he's
Yeah,
like, they
yeah,
don't take up no room. And he said, just fill up your ammo boxes with caps, buy jugs of powder. He said, get you a black powder pistol. People laugh at you and say, oh, it's an old black powder. It takes you a day to load it. Well, yeah, but when the ammunition's gone, I got 6 shots in a rifle.
exactly. Exactly. And um I mean,
And he
blunt
said, a
yeah.
good tomahawk. He says you need a good tomahawk on you.
Good tomahawk. I don't have a good tomahawk just yet. I've got the old fashioned. I've got the metal. Hold on. What do I have? I don't have a. I've got the SC. I've got the SC Gibson axe. I don't have a tomahawk, but I've got the SC Gibson axe.
Oh
So,
yeah.
but I do need me a good tomahawk. We do need a good peace pipe going on. So
Yeah. I carry a SRK knife. That's what I carry. The Cold Steel SRK.
cold steel SR. That's probably a great knife. I've got all my knives laid out here. Hold on, let me show you my setup. Got all my knives. Got to have my
Oh,
bag of M&Ms. Got to have my live stream snacks. All that stuff. So
the SRK was recommended to me by a buddy that was in the military. He said it's a really good knife, but he did make a point to tell me it's a survival knife, not a bushcraft. He said there is a
that's
difference.
there is a major difference between a survival knife and a bushcraft knife. I want to at the behest of at begging for your 10 more minutes. I please let me go over the difference between a bushcraft knife and a survival knife, please, please. So all right, so here is an SE. Here is an SE4. This is a survival knife. This is Dad's old SE4. Okay, so there's that. And then here is a Mora Garberg. Uh, uh, that is a bushcraft knife. Now these look insanely similar. Insanely similar. The big difference, they're both full tang. They're both made out of the same steel. They're both 1095 steel. Um, the major difference between this, which is a, in my opinion, a bushcraft knife versus this was a survival knife. And this is just the one thing for me. This has a 90-degree spine, so I can strike a ferro rod. I can do more with this. This is the crap hits the fan. I'll just beat this through any piece of wood I have to. It's not really, it doesn't really have anything like I can't strike a ferro rod with it, but this would be more or less the survival, um, almost fighting knife versus this being kind of my bushcraft. I can do more crafting work with this. So that's my argument for the survival versus bushcraft. That's my argument between these two. What about you?
I've got actually. I used to have a lot of knives. They got stolen, but my everyday knife I carry in my pocket right now is actually I don't know how it's a Camillus. I think is what they call it.
Yeah, Camels. Yeah, yeah. That's a nice little knife.
Got
That's
the Tano.
not a little knife. That's a big knife.
Yeah, it's got the Tano place on it. And then let me grab the SRK. I'll show you.
Yeah, yeah. Jesse, you got any knives?
I have my go-to, my everyday buck knife.
Yeah.
And then which I carry on me. It's kind of funny because whenever I'm out somewhere, I was at the baby shower. My cousin was like, "I don't have my knife on me. I don't have my knife on me." I'm like, "Here you go." He's like,
Here you
"What?"
go. That's great.
And then I
You
carry
gotta
my
have a
ski
knife.
and do. I usually carry my ski and do otherwise when I'm out, which is
Nice.
more of a fighting knife, but
Nice. Ooh, okay. Nice. Now that's a nice knife. And that's
Yeah,
a
it's just
cold steel.
Cold Steel SRK, and it
That
comes
makes
with
it
the
cold.
retention holster. It's got the
Now,
holes in it to drain the water if you go through water.
yep. Now cold steel makes a great knife. I think that's made out of Osate steel. Is that right?
Yeah, I
Osate
think
A.
yeah, it's sharp as a razor, man. That thing. I've got another Cold Steel knife. It's called the Feather. It's a double bladed,
Cool.
and that thing you couldn't do nothing with it but fight.
Yeah, but
But
I love cold steel makes good. They're just cool knives. They're cool knives.
it's sharp. Cold Steel's got one knife out I've been looking at. They do have a new one out. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a Bushcraft, and
Ooh.
it's getting a lot of reviews. But they
I'll have
also say that, I'm trying to think, Bear Grylls, they say his Walmart knife is actually, they say, a really good knife. I don't know.
So I bought the Bear Grylls knife at Target, but it's got the one thing I don't like that it has is the like it has the serrated edges like right here, but I still need to review it. And I bought it I think on clearance for $20. But I have gone out and seen where they took out the serrated part and they just made it a straight edge one, and I'm like, now that may be a knife. The if it's full tang and then 1095 steel. So if it's that, then that's a great knife then, for the price.
I just, my uncle and my friend, they're both SEALs,
Hmm.
and they recommended that I get this one. It was the Cold Steel SRK. They said that the one they recommended.
Oh, dude,
Real,
I mean, hard to beat that knife. Hard to beat it.
he
Hard to
said it's
beat the
really
buck
cool.
knife too.
I carry this too. I don't know if I can show you a pew pew on here without getting in trouble or not.
I think if we show pew pews, we'll get boomed like immediately.
Yeah,
We
probably
Pro-
not.
can't show
A good
pew
idea.
pews.
Probably
I've
so.
done it before and I got immediately popped.
Okay. What I carry, and I recommend it. I was hesitant to buy it. It cost me. It was pretty expensive. I got the 1911. It's the Rock
Yep.
Island, but I got the FS2. I got the Ghost trigger on it, the Ghost hammer. It's got the competition barrel in it, uh,
That's
and I got one in 2 calibers. I've got one in 10, and I got one in 9, and then my mom has one in 45.
that 10 is a hoss. That
That
10
10,
is a
that little 9 millimeter dude at 100 yards, I could take a pie plate, regular paper.
hey,
I
yeah.
can shoot pop, pop, pop that fast, and I can land every one of them in it.
Dude, that's awesome.
I love that little gun. It's so heavy because they are steel. You get
Uh-huh.
no you have no snap. I mean, you pretty much stay right on target.
Dude, that's
Uh,
super cool, man.
I had a Glock, and I love Glock for their, they're reliable one. But you know
Right.
what? I could not hardly hit anything with a Glock. I tried my Glock. I tried my buddy's Glock. So I switched over to a what was it? I switched to. It was a. I just got rid of it because I didn't like it either. Um, but I got rid of it. I couldn't hit nothing with them. And then one guy told me the other day, he's like, "You need to try the new Smith and Wesson that's out. It's only $399 at Academy
The
right now.
Yeah, the MMPs or the
Yeah,
CSXs.
the MMP.
Yeah, they're really good. Smith and Wesson's really good. Did you know Smith and Wesson actually moved down to where I'm located? They moved to Maryville, Tennessee.
Oh wow. Well,
So
that little Smith and Wesson is a tack driver, man. That thing shot so good. I
I
loved it.
believe I
It was
believe it. I believe it. So a little known thing about it. Smith and Wesson actually moved to where I'm from now is Blount County, Tennessee. They built a facility. They moved from either Connecticut or Massachusetts, where Smith and Wesson used to be, and they moved down to Tennessee, and their manufacturing facilities out here now, which I
oh wow.
love.
Yeah. And
So go ahead.
the other night is the first time really boots on the ground that I had to pull my sidearm and thought I was actually going to have to use it. Uh,
Ooh,
I actually drew my weapon and actually dropped the safety. And
that's
I ha-
something, man.
yeah, I haven't been in that kind of situation since I worked. And it
Just with
was
that
like,
big woof that one did.
it was the other night whenever I was down and everybody got kind of irritated at me. It was following me back to my vehicle and started shaking my vehicle while I was in it. And I didn't see it. Jesse seen it, and she said she saw the face in my driver's side window when I was starting the car to leave because I left the camera on. I
Mhm.
did. I was in fear enough though that I did draw my weapon and I took it off safety. And if I would have seen it through my window, yeah, I would have put one through my window because when something is shaking your car, it's trying to come into your dwelling,
Yeah,
then
that's it's asking for it then. Oof.
I'm in fear. I'm probably going to be deaf whenever I let that go inside of the cab.
Right. Yeah, you will be deaf. Oof. But man, Dad talked about that time that he came he was eye to eye with that dog man, and he dropped the slide on it, and he said, that thing looked at him, and he said it scared him to death. But of course, poor dad. I've told you this before. Poor dad didn't carry one in the chamber because he carried that big high point. He's afraid
Right.
it's going to shoot his toe off. So he dropped this major in the slide down on this high point, ka-clang, and of course that dog man just turns and looks at him. Whew. Mm.
But they know what it is because when I pulled mine, it backed off.
See, I believe that they they can be hurt by it. I believe that they can be hurt by weapons. Um, so
I,
there's a guy I listen to, Health Masters, and he talks about the how these fallen angels and Nephilim and all that. One of the big reasons why, and he's a little out there, and he thinks that one of the reasons why the government doesn't want you to have guns is because when they bring the Nephilim army, they don't want you to be able to fight back. And now I'm like, I don't 100% buy that, but it tracks a little bit. It tracks that they don't like guns and they know what they are.
I can say 100%, 100%. I've seen them bleed. I've shot it myself and seen the blood. Uh, and it did not run away from me after I shot it as well as it did when it ran to the pond before it was shot. So that would make me believe that it was injured and it was having a difficult time moving. And I did not shoot it with a 45-70 or, a 50 BMG. It was not a monster
Yeah.
gun. It was a little, 410 with 7.5 ounce birdshot in it at point blank range. Now, I'm not knocking a 410. 410 will do everything it needs to do. At a
Oh,
close,
absolutely.
close range, then BBs don't spread out, and it's like a slug hitting you if they don't get time to spread. I
Well, you,
shot it, right at point blank, and my cousin shot it with a 22.
hmm
And I honestly, you're a hunter. Whenever you see that looks like Jello blood on the ground, looks like you poured Jello through there. It's all clumped up how it is.
Yep.
You don't survive that.
Mm-mm. No, no, that's exactly. And And for those that are like you said, it's like, oh, a 410 won't do nothing. It's like, buddy, you do
Yeah,
not want to. You get shot with a 410. You're having a bad day at minimum.
Yeah.
At minimum,
and,
it's like,
and you got.
it's not good.
And after the judge came out, they started making 410 defensive loads, and there's some pretty mean loads out there for them right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
I
especially
again,
you stick them in a rifle where they're made for a short barrel, and you give them a 22-inch barrel, they do even more damage.
exactly. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to be shot by it. That's the last thing I want to happen to me, be shot by one of those things.
I've got
So
an old shotgun. I don't. We'll have to figure out YouTube rules for I could show you sometime. My dad left me some guns whenever he passed away. I have what they call, and I don't know exactly what the real name of it is, but everybody that I've ever showed it to call it the old cowboy shotgun. It's a
hmm
Winchester, and when you pump it, it's got a hammer on the back that pushes the hammer down when you pump it.
yeah.
And it's the old shotgun. It's in perfect condition. I have a 16 gauge double barrel with the old curl hammers on it that shoots the paper black powder rounds.
Oh,
Uh,
that's cool.
Yeah, I've got. Let's see. My grandpa gave me his 32 ACP, and it says it's made in Berlin, Germany. He was in the Korean War and all, and the German War, and he traded an officer's sidearms. He traded him his sidearm for a German sidearm,
Yeah,
and he left it to me, and it actually has the swastika stamped on it, to where it was a German.
dude,
It's a
that's
German.
cool.
I have it. Uh, I've got a lot of old guns. I've got an old, the old single shot. I think it's a Winchester. The old, you got to pull the little deal back on the back to fire it. I've
Right.
got all those old ones, and they were dads. They're memories, and they stay in the safe. I don't shoot them a whole lot, but I can tell a difference whenever you take that shotgun dad head that's all metal and it's all real wood, and you put it on your shoulder. It hurts a lot more than it does these newer composite stocks and stuff. It just hits you a lot different.
It's that wood. Yes, yes. I have. There's something about that wood, that just hard wood. It doesn't absorb that shock real good.
It hurts.
Oh man, it does. It hurts. It makes you think. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being World War I, War II, with these
Oh,
big, M1 Garands and those 308s, 30-06 just going clint just right against your shoulder. I mean, those men were men, man.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about, getting another hunting rifle, stepping it up. And I've been looking at the 308 and, compared to the 30-06. And I can't find ballistically much difference, about 200 feet between the 150 grain bullets. The only place really I can see if the 30-06 really shines is the 180 grain bullets. You know,
Yeah, I could see that. If you're hunting deer, it's not going to be a big difference at all, man. Now, if you're hunting hog or if you're hunting elk or something like that, you may
right?
want a little bit more. But a 308 will do just as much as a 30-06, man. I
Yeah.
mean, with the loadings that 308's got, you're just fine. You're just fine.
The new bullet designs too. Do you ever watch Ron Spoomer?
Yes, he does a good job of that stuff.
That guy's a legend, man. And
He,
the other guy died. I used to watch. I hate that. I can't think of his name right now. He ended up
oh,
passing away.
yeah. Dadgummit. Um,
I went blind. Paul Harrell.
Paul Harrell. Paul Harrell died. God, what is? Do, do you know who we're talking about, Jess? Paul Harrell. We're just going off about these guys. Because Jess, like, yeah, sure. No, and Paul Harrell. He used to be. He was this. He was great. He was phenomenal. He would do these amazing little Thanksgiving things, and I'd sit and watch him cook daggum Thanksgiving meals in his little cast iron things. Well, and just I was like, oh, I'm going to hang out with Paul Heller for 2 hours while he cooks this meal, dude. He was so good, and he literally at the very end he died of, was it AL? Is it, what did he die from? ALS or something?
Cancer. He
He died.
pancreatic.
So he had cancer. So he
Yeah.
has he has this cancer, and he makes this video before he dies, and he says, "If you're watching this, I'm dead, and I
Yeah.
apologize that I died." And I'm like, he apologized for dying, and
Yeah.
it rips your heart out. It ripped your heart out, and he
He
was
was
just,
full of mold.
dude, he was so smart. He was so smart. What, like, was he like a police like guy? Like, what was he? What was
You
his
know,
thing?
he would never say. He would always hint around. People guessed him to be a cop. Some people guessed him to be CIA. Uh, they said that he was really an intelligent man. Uh, he had to shoot a man in self defense once.
Yes, I know he had to shoot a man, but I guarantee you, I bet you he was high up there because he knew all. I mean, he knew all about. He
Well,
knew what. He was so well spoken,
they tried to
insanely well spoken.
they tried to hang him over the caliber he carried. What he done, they said, was okay. That the self defense he done was fine. But they tried to hang him because he was carrying a 10 millimeter. And the judge was like, "Why would you be carrying such a large caliber gun? You were looking for trouble. You were hoping this would happen someday." And he said, "That's the only drawback to carrying a big caliber gun is sometimes when you go to court, even though you're in the right, they want to say, well, you was only carrying a big caliber gun because you were looking for trouble."
He was looking for a fight. Man, that's I
Okay.
can't believe that. He didn't have to defend. So he not only had to defend his actions, but had to defend his caliber too. Huh?
Right.
That's an interesting. And that may be too why he was against the how people put stuff on their guns, like come get some or more, that'll be used against you in court. I would never do that.
Yeah, I don't. I just keep mine bare. Just
Keep yours bare. Yeah.
it's how I bought it, And
And
I may or may not have others that are, you know, uh, designed out, but
right. But don't those definitely aren't the EDC ones.
no, I lost all of mine in a boating accident probably about a
That
month.
happens, man. I get it, dude. Like after Dad died, I was trying my best, and the boat, like you said, the major boating accident. It happens. It happens more
And,
often than not, actually.
I had some hard times. I had to sell some of them, you know. And
Mine,
and Jesse can't believe this. I was telling Jesse the other day, it blew her mind. In Oklahoma, we don't have to have a bill of sale to sell a gun.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Same with here in Tennessee.
Yeah,
It
you just go sell it, and that's it.
Yep, it's gone. So I'm with you, Mike. I've boating accidents and I've sold all mine. I can't remember. I can't recall anymore.
I can't either. I'm getting old. I'm getting forgetful.
Yep, exactly. So shoot.
You're gonna have to come on another time when we got more time, and we need to talk to people about. I think like survival, getting lost in the woods.
I
How you
think that would be a yeah. We can definitely do that. We'll talk about like how to survive a 48, 72 hour scenario. You get lost in the woods, what to do, all that stuff. That'll be a really good video.
and don't think you can't because I've been in these woods all my life, raised in them from a kid, and I got lost in them, and
Uh,
that was the scariest moment of my life. I felt totally like panic
yep.
because everything looked identical. I did not know where I was at. The woods closed in on me. I panicked. I mean, I really had to sit down and really pull myself together to get myself out of there.
Yeah, Paul Harrell, he told you he got lost before. He got lost. Even as good an outdoorsman he is, everybody gets lost. What is it? Davy Crockett said, "I've never been lost in the woods, but I've been turned around a time or two."
Right, right.
I mean, it happens to everyone.
And
So
it's
so
scary.
it is, and like you said, it's like happens to everyone, and if you can fight through that sheer terror, where everything closes off and all that, you sit down and breathe and do that, then you can figure out, okay, here's what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll definitely have a good one there. We'll come back on and talk.
It bothered me so bad for a while, honestly. I didn't even want to go like hunting by myself for a while again. I mean, it really messed with me. I was like, that was scary, because and I made the mistake that I was hunting in the snow and it was overcast day, so there's no sun. I couldn't see, to use the sun, and I done the dumbest thing. I started chasing a squirrel that was going from tree to tree and not paying attention to where I was going, and he was, going different ways, and I killed the squirrel, and then it was like,
We're in
how
one.
do, how do I get back to the truck because my footprints were covered over because it was snowing.
Yeah. I would have freaked out a little bit too. Yep.
Yeah, and it was cold, and I wasn't really heavily dressed, and I knew I couldn't make the night the way I was dressed, and I didn't have fire starter on me. All I
Yeah,
had was
and
my gun and my bullets, you know.
your brain started freaking out. Yep, yep,
Mm.
Yep, you're like, I'm going to freeze to death out here by myself, you know.
yep, yep. I heard that.
It was scary.
Well, guys, I sure appreciate you guys letting me just hang out with you tonight. I enjoy these non super serious, fun conversations
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just hanging with my
Absolutely.
buddies.
I do too.
Absolutely.
I enjoy this channel for that relaxation part, and then of course we'll have to get you back on the other channel too. And I think you've read another part of that book I seen.
I know. My wife keeps getting on me. I need to read. I need to read. I just haven't. I haven't got a chance to just sit down and do it. She's like, she got on to me last night because I was like, I told her I was like, I need to read chapter 7 because I need to have it out by Sunday. And I'm sitting there. I get off work last night. And I'm sitting there and I've got the video game controller in my hand. She's like, I thought you were going to read. I
No,
mean,
it's Madden time.
that's right. That's right. So she's she's on me worse than anybody else on this stuff. So I gotta tell you she's a good one, man. She keeps it going good. I do want to say something, and I apologize to kind of. I didn't ask permission to this, but I do want to ask if I can promote the conspiracy con that gonna be happening in Cave City, Kentucky,
Absolutely.
August the 22nd and 23rd. I'll be speaking at that conference. It's called Spiracy Con. I really want to promote it. They have a lot of really cool speakers there, and I'm going to be talking about Bigfoot. But there are going to also be some other folks talking about Bigfoot that are on the opposite side of the spectrum. I'm Nephilim, human hybrid spectrum. We're going to have people from Kentucky Bigfoot research that are more on the bipedal ape spectrum. So it'll be a fun conversation to have.
Yeah, if you want to send me the information you got, and I will
Yeah.
throw it on my Facebook page. I got like 6,000 people on there.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that. It'll be a lot of fun. I think tickets are $7,500, so they're not like crazy expensive. They're not cheap, but they're not crazy expensive. And there's tons of speakers, and they're going to have that and a lot of biblical folks, which is going to be great. They're going to be a lot of cool folks.
A lot of good information too.
Oh, a
Sounds like.
lot of tons of good dude. These people have forgot more about the Bible than I'll ever know about it. So, yeah, man, I'll shoot that to you.
Yeah, I'll get it out there as soon as you get it to me. That's what I told Jesse too. It seems like doing the Sasquatch investigations, it's actually got me closer to God. I've learned more than probably what I would have ever learned not doing it.
Absolutely.
And man, isn't that wild? Like people will say, "Oh, you're doing this. This is evil. This is this and this and that." And it's like, man, like you said, this has gotten me closer to God than a lot of things. How's that?
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, God can even use the devil to do His work.
He does a lot. Yep. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. And I think that, if you look at this, we look at this as a ministry. I mean, I haven't been on a show with you guys where we haven't talked about God. Like it's basically just about all the foundation, all we talk about. So
Right.
it's if that's not a ministry, I don't know what is.
You know, if it,
Okay.
the way I see it, if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here to be doing what I'm doing. You know, I give all glory to Him, everything, my channel, my life, my family, and because I mean, if He didn't want it and He didn't will it, it wouldn't happen.
That's the truth.
Absolutely.
That's the truth. Well, guys, I'm going to head on to bed. Thank you so much for your friendship. Thank you so much for your time and just let me hang out with you guys. Y'all be good.
It's an honor, man. God bless you and your family. We'll see you soon.
See you
Yep.
soon, guys.
Good night. God
Good
bless.
night. You too.
That's always a great show. I could just talk and talk and talk and talk to him.
Yeah.
and continue to talk and talk and talk. It's a good thing we only bring him on about once every month or two, or we might wear him out.
I think everybody knows by now. Once if it's a show with Travis, it's going to be a long one,
Yeah, it definitely is.
but it's not boring.
No. I could go on. Well, you want to say some, like the old cowboy said, you want to say your last words?
Just thanks again for everybody for being here. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. I hope everyone, especially in the heat wave that we're having, stay hydrated and stay cool. Check on your neighbor. You don't know, just in case, you might not know what they're going through if they're able to have the water and stay cool. So God bless everybody and take care, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Thank you guys for coming over, supporting us, and supporting Hunter's channel. He started this. This was his idea. And I want to thank you all for coming over, supporting him, and watching the videos. I hope if you haven't subscribed that you will subscribe. Check out our other videos, guys. There's some really cool videos out there, cooking, fishing, all kinds of stuff. Come over and hang out with us. We'll do more lives, hopefully. And like Jesse said, be careful. It is so hot outside that I actually was sitting here on the couch today and I watched a bird blow on a worm before he ate it. So don't get out there and get too hot, guys. Take care of yourselves, and we'll catch you on the next one. God bless. Love you, Hunter, more than anything in the world, buddy. And I can't wait to be able to share this with you. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Good night.